Chapter 628. That's right. This movie was a stepping stone. If it was successful, it could open up the Hollywood market. If not, it could be cut off from Hollywood. Lin Che became even more nervous. Yu Minmin said, "Don't worry. With your acting skills, you should be confident. Actually, I also know that it's a little early for you to come into contact with Hollywood, but Eric's arrival has given you this opportunity. You can only cherish it for now." "Aha, since that's the case, I'll give it a try. Anyway, I'll just miss the audition." While Lin Che and Yu Minmin were discussing. On the other side, in Smart Movies, Qin Wanwan looked at the increasing number of messages on the computer screen. She snorted and said, "Sister Lin, are you sure she accepted a role in a Hollywood movie?" "I'm not sure yet, but I'm sure they're discussing it. Perhaps it's because of Eric's help. Anyway, there are rumors that Mu Firen was the one who was chosen for the TV series, but for some reason, Mu Firen didn't accept the role, so Lin Che was chosen." Good, good. I don't know why Mu Firen is semi-retired now. Is she going to marry into a rich family? Sister Lin said, "No, I heard that Mu Firen's boyfriend is the boss of her company, CEO Mo. Maybe they're preparing to get married. After all, they've been together for so many years. Anyway, it seems like this is an important period. If Mu Firen retires, you and Lin Che will be the best candidates to replace her. But there's only one Mu Firen in Country C. Between you and Lin Che, one can replace her, and the other will have to settle for second place." Qin Wanwan snorted as she read the news. Recently, Qin Wanwan's image had suffered a setback, so she couldn't compete with Lin Che's influence in certain areas. But Qin Wanwan had never given up. She was still looking for opportunities. Wasn't this a great opportunity that she had been waiting for? When Lin Che returned home, he saw Mo Wheeling sitting in the living room. When she saw Lin Che, she immediately said, "Lin Che, what's wrong with you? Why didn't the servants change the things in my room? Did you ask them to deliberately tease me and neglect me?" Lin Che looked at Mo Wheeling and said, "Miss Mo, I just came back. How would I know what happened to you? If you're not used to this place, you can leave. Why are you still staying here?" Mo Wheeling laughed and walked over quickly. "Lin Che, you finally admitted that you were chasing me away on purpose." Lin Che looked at Mo Wheeling. "You have to understand something. I've never said that I like having you in my house. But if I really wanted to chase you away, I definitely wouldn't stop the servants from tidying up your room. There are many ways to do it. Why would I do it in such a slow manner?" As Lin Che spoke, she turned sideways to go over. Mo Wheeling angrily reached out to pull her, but Lin Che elbowed her away. Mo Wheeling looked at her in surprise, staggered, and fell to the ground. At that moment, Gu Jingze walked in. Seeing this, Mo Wheeling fell to the ground and started crying. "Jingze, look at her. She pushed me. How dare she push me?" Gu Jingze glanced at her and walked to Lin Che's side. He grabbed Lin Che and turned to Mo Wheeling, saying, "Leave if you're done crying." Mo Wheeling's tears immediately flowed down her cheeks. She looked at Gu Jingze in a daze. Gu Jingze said, "You're the one who insisted on staying here. No one asked you to stay. If you feel that you've been mistreated, you can leave." Gu Jingze, how dare you treat me like this? Mo Wheeling, you're the one who challenged my bottom line time and time again. If you dare to use force on Lin Che again, I won't let you off. After Gu Jingze finished speaking, he pulled Lin Che up and walked into the house. Mo Wheeling fell to the ground, the corners of her lips trembling in disbelief. Gu Jingze actually threatened her. He said that if she dared to use force on Lin Che, he wouldn't let her off. What a joke. What a joke. Was Lin Che really that important in his heart? She was pregnant, but he didn't even ask what was going on and just stood by Lin Che's side. When the helpers passed by, they didn't even look at Mo Wheeling. Mo Wheeling said angrily, "What are you looking at? You bitches. You're just helpers. How dare you look at me like this?" The helpers pursed their lips and couldn't be bothered to look at her. Mo Wheeling was furious. Just then, she saw a puppy walking over in a few steps, wagging its tail and pacing back and forth in a chubby manner. Mo Wheeling narrowed her eyes, seeing that the helpers had all left. She grabbed the puppy and threw it hard on the ground. Then, she stretched out her leg and kicked the puppy. The puppy howled, curled up and whimpered. Mo Wheeling vented her anger and immediately left the living room. She didn't even look at the puppy again. Lin Che looked at the angry Gu Jingze in the room. He walked over and said, "I did push her just now. I just didn't expect to push her." Gu Jingze took a deep breath and turned to look at Lin Che. "Was I very stupid in the past?" Lin Che was stunned. "Why did you say that?" Gu Jingze said, "Did you think I was stupid when you saw me being so good to Wheeling in the past?" "No, I really didn't." Lin Che wrapped his arms around Gu Jingze's neck. "I was just envious. Why would I think you were stupid? Sometimes, she felt that Gu Jing's taste was not good. But she was still envious. Envious that Mo Huiling liked her as much as Gu Jing's did. No matter how bad she was, he would tolerate her. Gu Jing's heard her say this and wrapped his arms around her waist. He pressed his forehead against hers and said, "You don't have to be envious of others." She lowered her head, her eyes filled with love. "Yeah, I don't envy anyone now." Gu Jing's kissed her lips quietly. "Yeah, I'll try to treat you better. I'll treat you the best. I won't let you have the chance to be envious of others." Her heart instantly became sweeter. Treat me better? How good would that be? She felt that she couldn't take it anymore. But at this moment, "Sir, madam." The servant's voice came from outside, sounding anxious. The servants of the Gu family were of good quality and had been specially trained. If it wasn't an emergency, they wouldn't be shouting like this. Lin Che quickly let go of Gu Jing's. When he went out, he saw that the servant's face was covered in sweat. "Sir, madam, Prince is sick." "What? What happened to Prince?" When Lin Che heard that it was Prince, he quickly ran out. At first glance, she saw the prince lying in the basket, groaning, looking very weak and pitiful. Lin Che was frightened and quickly said, "What happened?" "What happened to Prince?" the servant said. "When we came out, he was lying on the ground and crying. We quickly went to call madam." Lin Che was so anxious that his eyes turned red. Gu Jingza took the lead and said, "Let's go to the hospital first." Only then did Lin Che remember. He quickly turned around and said, "Okay, let's go to the hospital." Chapter 629. Gu Jingza immediately brought Lin Che out. The prince was held in Lin Che's arms. His face was young and innocent, which made Lin Che even more afraid. She could only pray in her heart that nothing would happen to the prince. This was the first time she had raised such a small animal. She really didn't want to see it die in her hands. She didn't know what she had done wrong. Did the prince eat something bad or something else? Why did the prince suddenly fall sick? At night, the pet hospital that she often went to was suddenly surrounded by the Gu family. Usually, Lin Che would think that this was too ostentatious. But now, she just wanted the prince to get better quickly. She didn't care about anything else. After entering the door, she quickly ran in and shouted, "Doctor, doctor, help me take a look. Did our prince eat something bad? Why is he like this?" The doctor was still putting on his clothes inside. He had already gotten off work and only came out when there was an emergency. At this moment, he suddenly heard a commotion outside. Only then did he see that there were people from the Gu family outside. They seemed to be very anxious. He didn't dare to be negligent. He quickly put on his white coat and walked out. He placed the prince on the treatment table. The doctor pinched and looked at him. The prince was still whimpering miserably. The doctor looked up and said, "Hurry up and give the prince an X-ray and ultrasound. It seems that there is internal bleeding." "Ah, why is it like this?" Lin Che's heart jumped when she heard this. The doctor said, "He might have been seriously injured. Anyway, let's take a look first." The doctor carefully took the dog to have a checkup. Lin Che and Gu Jingza followed by the side. Gu Jingza put his arm around Lin Che's shoulders and let her lean into his arms. "All right, it'll be fine. If it's serious, he shouldn't be able to make a sound. No matter what, we will cure him." Lin Che leaned against the wall and listened to his words. It was as if his heart was slowly calming down. Gu Jingza was much more observant than her. If he said that, it must be because he had already examined it. Her trust in Gu Jingza was beyond her understanding. She just felt that since it was him who said it, it must be right. After a while, the doctor returned with the dog. Lin Che quickly walked over and asked, "How is it?" The doctor said, "There is indeed internal bleeding. We may need a small surgery now. There is a small problem with the stomach." "What? Surgery?" Lin Che was about to faint. He actually had to undergo surgery. It was still so small. Lin Che said, "Okay, we'll start the surgery right away. But will it be dangerous?" The doctor looked at the situation and did not dare to lie. He could only wipe his sweat and say, "Surgery is dangerous, especially when the dog is so small. However, if we don't operate, it will definitely die." "Okay. I believe you, doctor. Hurry up and start the surgery." "Okay, then take a look at this agreement and sign it. We'll arrange the surgery immediately. I'll call my assistant and ask another doctor to come back now." Lin Che lowered his head to look at the agreement. At this moment, he couldn't focus on anything else. After a quick glance, he signed the agreement. If it was someone else, the doctor would have to remind them that the surgery wouldn't be cheap. This was a big surgery for a dog and it would be more troublesome. However, looking at Lin Che's attitude, money shouldn't be a problem for them, so the doctor quickly asked people to prepare for the surgery and didn't mention the price. This made Lin Che, who was already anxious, even more anxious. All the doctors came at once. Everyone was still wondering what was going on with the cars parked at the entrance and the people surrounding them. When they came in and saw Lin Che and Gu Jingze, the atmosphere was stiff. They didn't dare to ask more and quickly went into work. Chapter 630. The servant said, Sir took Madam to treat Prince. I heard that he had an operation. Madam was very worried. Sir just comforted Madam and brought her back with him. A dog had to go for an operation. Moreover, Gu Jingze took her there personally. Gu Jingze was actually getting involved with Lin Che's dog. Mo Huiling thought angrily in her heart, that dog better hurry up and die. This Lin Che is too outrageous. He still wants to waste Gu Jingze's time for such a small matter. Gu Jingze is also despicable. If I ask him to go, he will go. Is Gu Jingze treating me like a queen? Lin Che? At night, Lin Che rested for a while and woke up early the next morning. Gu Jingze woke up early as well. Seeing that Lin Che was about to go to the hospital, he quickly said, All right, I've asked someone to check. Prince is fine and has woken up. He can't move around as he pleases. There are a few people watching him. He'll be fine. Lin Che heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at Gu Jingze and said, Really? That's great. Gu Jingze said, So you'd better eat something before going to see Prince? Lin Che had no choice but to nod. He ate something and washed up before he rushed to the hospital with Gu Jingze. Prince was still lying there recovering. Although he had just undergone an operation, a dog's recovery ability was stronger than a human's. It seemed that he was in much better spirits now. The doctor said, We can only give him some injections now. He'll probably be very hungry, but he can't eat anything yet. He'll be fine after a few days. Lin Che said, Really? There won't be any problems, right? Yeah, he's recovering very well. We've also given him the best medicine. I believe he'll recover even faster. Although animals are small, they're very tenacious. Lin Che looked at the poor prince and touched his little hand. Poor thing, how could he be so badly injured? Lin Che muttered. Thinking of this, he raised his head and said to Gu Jingze, But what happened? Prince is fine. How could he have internal bleeding? Gu Jingze frowned when he heard that. The doctor looked carefully at the side and paused for a moment before saying, This. Miss Lin, actually, we've seen this dog's injury before. Many stray dogs that have been abused outside will have similar injuries. Usually, they have been kicked in a bad position, so they might bleed and fracture. However, those stray dogs aren't as lucky as the prince. Miss Lin is kind enough to treat them, so we can't treat them, so we can only euthanize them. This is a very big injury for a dog. Lin Che frowned. Are you saying that someone intentionally injured the prince? We're just guessing that someone kicked the prince. Gu Jingze said, No one else will enter the Gu family. Lin Che looked up. So it was done by someone from the Gu family? Gu Jingze put a hand on Lin Che's shoulder. Don't worry. I'll investigate this thoroughly. I won't let the prince get hurt for nothing. But, how do we investigate? Lin Che said. Gu Jingze said, I have my own plans. She dared to hurt our dog in the Gu family's house. I won't let her off easily. It was perfect to say that one had to look at the owner before beating a dog. Lin Che could only nod. Just then, Yu Minmin called and said that they were preparing for the audition. Lin Che didn't want to leave the prince, so he could only visit him for the time being. After listening to their assurances that they would take good care of the prince and not let him get hurt again, he reluctantly left the pet hospital. When he met Yu Minmin saw that she looked so haggard and hurriedly said, No way. What happened? How are you going to audition later? Lin Che told Yu Minmin what had happened. Yu Minmin exploded. No way. I think it was Mo Huiling who did it. Otherwise, who would be so cruel as to cause trouble in the Gu family? The servants in your family wouldn't find trouble for themselves. Lin Che said, I guess so too. But I can't tell Gu Jingze like this. It's as if I have no evidence. Yu Minmin said, but Gu Jingze is a smart man. If we can think of it, he can't. That's why I can't tell him. It's up to him how he wants to deal with it. If I chase her away now, people will say that I'm not magnanimous. Forget it. Which woman will be magnanimous when she sees another woman pregnant with her husband's child? Even I won't be magnanimous. But you know how important a child is in a rich family. Compared to that, a wife is not as important as a child. Sigh, isn't the child not Gu Jingze's? But people still think so. I'll only have evidence to refute when the child is born. For now, she should just take care of it. Anyway, we'll know whether it's the child or not in the end. Okay, this is actually a better move. When the time comes, Mo Huiling will suffer and raise the child herself. Yu Minmin looked at Lin Che and said, then today's audition, Forget it. They came all the way from abroad. It's not good for me to postpone it. It's okay. I'll be fine in a while. Okay, do as you see fit. Don't force yourself. The two of them walked in together. There were a few foreigners. Yu Minmin brought an interpreter with her. The other party was very polite. He looked at Lin Che and sized him up as he said, "We saw your advertisement overseas and we thought it was very shocking. Moreover, we've asked around about you and know that you're very popular in Country C. It's just that we haven't seen many of your films." Lin Che smiled and said, "I graduated from a professional drama academy. I believe in my professional ability. It doesn't matter if you have seen my movies or not. Anyway, every role is different. I will play it in different ways." On the other side, there was another foreigner. Obviously, he didn't think highly of her. He said, "To be honest, we thought Mu Firen was our first choice. I don't know if you know this actress. We think she is very suitable for the role, no matter in terms of fame, acting, or image." Did this mean that Lin Che was the one who had to settle for the next best thing? Lin Che didn't get angry. He just said with a smile, "We all know Sister Firen's ability. She has always been my role model. I'm very proud to be chosen after her. Thank you. After Mu Firen, you thought of me next." Hearing Lin Che's words, the foreigner admired her even more. She was neither humble nor arrogant and didn't seem to be angry at all. It seemed that she had a good character. Chapter 631. The foreigner at the back shrugged and smiled, saying, "There's no point in saying anything. Why don't you put on a show for us now? I hope we didn't come here for nothing." The few of them sat down. Although Lin Che was very tired, when she got into character, she pinched her cheeks. When she looked into the mirror, her eyes had already started to become lively. The few of them watched from behind. When they first came in and saw Lin Che, they were really a little disappointed. They felt that her face was full of exhaustion, as if she had taken drugs and was in a daze, which made them lose interest in her. They thought that her bright and sunny appearance in the publicity was just for publicity effect. She seemed to be a very lazy person in person, so they felt that they were a little uninterested. But at this moment, they saw that at this moment, Lin Che suddenly seemed to have become a different person. She entered the role and immediately became lively. Her eyes became sharp, as if she was slowly getting the feeling of bloodshed in the plot. The foreigner in front was the first to straighten up with interest. The one at the back still had an expression that said, "Let's see how you are going to act." He tilted his head and looked at her. Lin Che had read the script. Now, she was performing one of the more classic scenes. The woman came out from the inside with a sharp gaze. When she thought about how she had just met the male lead and how he had admitted that he was a vampire hunter, although she was sad, she still left in a cool and unrestrained manner. When she was outside, her coldness only showed a little. Her eyes and body were cold, but they could no longer hide the pain in her heart. She reached out and used her superpower as a vampire to smash the wooden bridge in front of her. The change in her gaze was very obvious and the details were very obvious. The few of them looked at it. It was indeed different from the acting in Hollywood, but it was very natural and full of the beauty of the details. Moreover, these delicate feelings were expressed very well. It did not have the artificial and dramatic feeling of watching the movies and television dramas in Country C in the past. The foreigner stood up first and said, "Very good. I think you are different from me. I always think that the acting in Country C is too exaggerated." Lin Che smiled and said, "I know that our acting is exaggerated, but professional actors have to experience the character and conform to the character of the original. We, the people of Country C, express our feelings differently from foreigners. We naturally have our own characteristics when making movies and television dramas for ourselves. But I'm a professional actor, and now that I'm making a movie for the Hollywood audience, my acting style will also change accordingly." "I see. It seems that we haven't seen through the word actor, so we have a misunderstanding about acting in Country C." He looked back at the man who had looked down on him just now. He could only smile and said, "Yes, I think you are very good. I think you are as good as Mu Firen." Lin Che said hurriedly, "Thank you, but Sister Firen is recognized as the king of acting. I dare not compare myself with her. I can only say that she is my learning target." They had a good after that, but this didn't stop Lin Che from being tired again. The foreigner said, "Are you a little tired?" Lin Che said, "Yes, you can see that. My dog was sick last night and I had an operation. I haven't recovered yet. I'm sorry." "No, you are very professional." After saying goodbye to the foreigner, Lin Che walked out. However, she didn't notice that there were flashes in the distance and the cameras were following her footsteps. When Lin Che and Yu Minmin returned to the company, the news was posted on the website. It said that today, the media found out that Lin Che was going to audition for the Hollywood movie Blood to play the female lead, the Vampire Queen. This movie was based on The Vampire Hunter. Although it was a male movie, the female character in the movie was fully deserving of the female lead. After rumors said that Blood would choose an actor from Sea Country, it caused a stir in the domestic entertainment industry. Now, Lin Che was finally filmed going to audition. However, looking at Lin Che's appearance after the audition, it seemed that the result was not very ideal. However, looking at Lin Che's previous role, although everyone said that Lin Che's acting skills were the best among the young actresses recently, he was still far from Hollywood standards, so it was understandable that he did not get the favor of Hollywood. However, there were rumors that Lin Che had already been predetermined for this role and that it was led by Eric. Whether it was true or not, it was still unknown. After Yu Minmin saw the news, she gave it to Lin Che and said, "What are these people doing? They said that you were predetermined." Lin Che sneered. "Alright, I couldn't follow them to the Gu family's house, so I followed them to the audition venue while they were not around. These people must have worked hard. Yeah, forget it. Don't think too much. Anyway, it's up to the crew to decide who gets the role. It's not like the paparazzi said that your acting skills are bad." However, Yu Minmin was also very depressed. Lin Che's acting skills were publicly acknowledged. What did they mean by saying that she was good? It was as if they were the ones who spread the news. Everyone acknowledged her, okay? Lin Che didn't care about this. She just wanted to go back and see how Prince was doing. Meanwhile, at the Gu family, Gu Jingze walked in and heard the butler say, "They said that the last time they saw Prince was towards Miss Mo. However, no one saw Miss Mo hit Prince." Gu Jingze's expression was very gloomy. He walked in so emotionlessly that it made the servants' hearts palpitate. "Where is Mo Huiling?" His voice sounded even colder than his expression. "Sir, Miss Mo is inside." Gu Jingze led the servants straight to Mo Huiling's room. Ever since she moved in, Gu Jingze had never gone near her room. At this moment, Mo Huiling stood up immediately when she heard the sound. Seeing Gu Jingze push the door open and walk in, Mo Huiling's face lit up. "Jingze, you're here. Great timing. I'm looking at the ultrasound. Do you want to come and take a look? The child has grown up and you can see him now." She thought that Gu Jingze finally remembered her because Lin Che was not at home today. Unexpectedly, Gu Jingze said directly, "Pack your things and get out of the Gu family today." The joyful smile on Mo Huiling's face froze. "What did you say?" Gu Jingze said, "You've been staying here for a while. I think your hand is almost healed. Is it time for you to leave?" I haven't. My injury is not healed yet. I need to continue resting. It's not easy to recover from a gunshot wound." "Enough?" Gu Jingze stared at her coldly. "Why don't you be more direct? There's no need to beat around the bush. You're staying here to recuperate from your injuries. I tolerated you for a few days because you took a hit for Lin Che. But, how dare you do such a thing to the prince?" Chapter 632. Mo Huiling lifted her eyes and looked at Gu Jingze weakly. "What do you mean? What do you mean by me and the prince? What are you talking about?" Gu Jingze snorted coldly. "Are you playing dumb with me? Huiling, I've been very kind to you. Get out now." Of course, Mo Huiling wouldn't let it go. She sat on the bed, grabbed the bedpost with one hand, raised her head and looked at Gu Jingze unyieldingly. "I won't leave. I won't leave even if you pull me." Mo Huiling didn't believe that Gu Jingze would really reject her and chase her out. But Gu Jingze just glanced at her. Several bodyguards walked over and pulled Mo Huiling, who was sitting on the bed. Mo Huiling broke down and screamed. "Don't touch me. No one can touch me. Gu Jingze, I haven't recovered yet. You can't do this to me." Gu Jingze didn't look at her anymore and turned his head away. Mo Huiling was dragged up by the bodyguards. She struggled, but no one cared about her. "Let go of me, Gu Jingze. I'm pregnant." "What are you doing, Gu Jingze? Are you going to do this to me just because of a dog?" Gu Jingze snorted. "Now you know who the prince is?" Mo Huiling's face froze. Gu Jingze, that's just a dog. Are you going to vent your anger on me because of a dog?" Gu Jingze looked at Mo Huiling. He didn't want to say anything else. "Where is she? Take her out." "You." "I won't go. I won't go. It wasn't easy for me to get into the Gu family, and I never thought of leaving." Mo Huiling cried and shouted. But Gu Jingze didn't budge. Mo Huiling really thought that she wouldn't go out again. She had put in so much effort to enter the Gu family. But now Gu Jingze wanted to chase her out? She didn't want to leave. Why should she? "Gu Jingze, why are you doing this to me? What's so good about Lin Che? You're so infatuated with him. She's just an illegitimate daughter and an actress. How can you treat me like this? Do you think she's some fairy? What kind of status does she have? You still pamper her like a princess. Is she even worthy? Gu Jingze didn't bother to explain to her, nor did he want to say more. He just turned his back to her and listened to her voice getting farther and farther away. She was still cursing as she walked away. Gu Jingze, you'll regret this. Have you lost your principles for this woman? You used to be such an upright and cold person. How could you do this for her? Why are you doing this for her? Mo Huiling really couldn't understand why he doted on Lin Che so much. It was much better than what he had experienced in the past. She had never enjoyed Gu Jingze's warmth, but now it was all Lin Che's. Why? She just couldn't understand it. However, Gu Jingze was so infatuated with Lin Che. In front of Mo Huiling, Gu Jingze was acting out a completely different way of love from the past. Mo Huiling felt it was unfair. She was jealous of Lin Che, jealous that Lin Che had obtained everything that she had dreamed of in the past. She was directly dragged out. The Gu family's chauffeur was waiting outside. He looked at her and said, "Miss Mo, Mr. Gu wants us to take you home." "No need." Mo Huiling pushed the man away angrily. "Miss Mo, please get in the car. Your luggage needs to be sent home too." "I said I don't want it." Mo Huiling kicked the luggage away. "I can easily buy new things. Who cares? Do you think everyone is as poor as your family's young mistress?" "Humph." Mo Huiling looked inside and said fiercely, "Gu Jingze, Lin Che, you'll regret this. You'll regret this." Mo Huiling walked out as she muttered, "Everyone will know that Lin Che actually treated me like this. Everyone will know that Gu Jingze, you're infatuated with Lin Che and then you abandon me and your child because of an actress. Now you're even allowing Lin Che to chase me away. Aren't you afraid of retribution?" "Humph." Mo Huiling walked out just like that. She had already made up her mind that she would definitely ruin Lin Che's reputation when she got home. Since they had already fallen out, she wouldn't be afraid of anyone. At this moment, Lin Che was driving back. Seeing Mo Huiling walking out, she stopped the car and looked at Mo Huiling strangely. Mo Huiling stood there and glared at Lin Che with hatred. "Lin Che, don't think that you can rest easy just because you chased me away. I want to see how much longer Gu Jingze can spoil you. Sooner or later, he will hate you, just like how he hated me back then." Lin Che only said strangely, "Chase you away? Ha, are you trying to play dumb with me now? It's useless for me to tell you. I know that you're the mastermind behind everything just because I kicked your dog. Humph, you and your dog will be chased out of this family sooner or later. Let's see if you can still be so smug when that time comes." Lin Che's heart skipped a beat. Had Gu Jingze already chased Mo Huiling away just like that? But if things got out of hand, Mo Huiling wouldn't go to the Gu family to make a fuss, would she? And if things got out of hand, who knew what people would say about Gu Jingze? Lin Che was used to being scolded, but she really didn't want to see Gu Jingze get scolded. Not at all. She walked straight inside and saw Gu Jingze in the living room. She hurried over and said, "Gu Jingze, this." Gu Jingze looked at her. His gaze was still cold, but there was a hint of gentleness in it. "What's wrong? Is it okay? I think she'll make a fuss." "It's okay. If she wants to make a fuss, she can. Anyway, no matter how she tries to slander me now, the truth will come out one day." Lin Che nodded. "All right, you're right. I really hope that the truth will come out one day." It was just that Lin Che couldn't bear to see him suffer. Mo Huiling left the Gu family just like that. When she returned to the Mo family, Father Mo looked at her and sighed. "All right, now you've made a fool of yourself. If people find out that you've been chased out, my old face, it's all Lin Che's fault. It's all Lin Che's fault." Mo Huiling shouted. Mo Fu snorted. "You can't even compare to Lin Che. Tell me, what should I say about you? You've been with Gu Jingze for so long. Why has Gu Jingze never been so protective of you before? Now he's so protective of Lin Che. Enough, I won't let them have it easy." Mo Huiling threw the things on the table angrily and returned to her room indignantly. After she returned, she started spreading rumors about how Lin Che had treated her badly, how he had chased her away, how he couldn't tolerate her and Gu Jingze's child, how he had made things difficult for her in the Gu family, and how he had teamed up with the servants to bully her. Chapter 633. Mo Huiling complained tearfully on WeChat and on the phone. She found people to complain to. She told them directly, "You guys don't know this. Lin Che seems to be a good person on the surface, but he is very evil behind the scenes. He found people to play tricks on me. He pretended to be generous and let me stay with the Gu family, but he secretly sent people to deal with me. I was pregnant, so he said that he couldn't tolerate me. He tricked me into staying with the Gu family and wanted to harm my child. She can't give birth, so she doesn't want me to have a child." The next day, the news spread more and more fiercely. When Lin Che woke up early in the morning, Yu Minmin called Lin Che and said, "What did you do? Why is everyone talking about you?" Lin Che said gloomily, "What did they say about me? That I'm involved in a scandal again? It's not about your scandal. It's about the servants outside talking about you." "What?" Lin Che was dumbfounded. He had no idea what was going on. Yu Minmin said, "Yeah. Didn't I tell you that this circle is not big? Everything will be spread around. Even the servants and nannies will spread the news around. What's more, it's such a big thing." "What exactly is going on?" "When I went out just now, I heard the servants say that Mo Huiling was kicked out by the Gu family." "Yeah, Gu Jingze kicked her out yesterday. But that's not the Gu family's house, it's my house." "Yes, but that's what Mo Huiling said. Moreover, I think the servant said that although it's your house, in everyone's eyes, Mo Huiling is pregnant with Gu Jingze's child, so she has one foot in the door of the Gu family. So it's reasonable to say that she was kicked out." "What kind of nonsense is that? You don't have to care about it. Anyway, this is what it means now. Everyone says that you are so cruel to Mo Huiling. You deliberately tricked her into coming home and even wanted to get rid of her child. You are so scheming." "What? Why is this plot so familiar? It's similar to the palace drama that Mu Firen filmed a few years ago." The more Lin Che listened, the more he found it funny. Yu Minmin said, "Go away, who's joking with you? They're all saying that what you're doing isn't right. As Mrs. Gu, you have to be magnanimous. How can you abort the child just because she's pregnant with your husband's child? This child is also the flesh and blood of the Gu family. You should treat the child well and treat it as your own. Now they're all saying that you're heartless and scheming. They also say that you're not worthy of being with Gu Jingze. They say that you're actually not as good as Mo Huiling, but you're just a little arrogant now. That's why you're being so heartless. They even say that Gu Jingze was bewitched by you and didn't care about you. You must have bewitched him on purpose and lied to him so that he didn't realize your evil intentions." Yu Minmin finished in one breath and continued, "In short, you're as vicious as a snake and scorpion. In order to fight for a man, you first pushed Mo Huiling away, and now you're trying to kill her. You're the mistress, but now you want to kill the original wife." "Ha! Ha!" Lin Che was so angry that his lungs hurt. After a while, she said, "All right, I really admire this. Mo Huiling has just left the Gu family, but she has already spread so much news. Be careful when you go out today. You are like a street rat now." Lin Che stood there, holding the phone. When he heard Yu Minmin laughing, she said, "You are still in the mood to laugh. That's enough, Lin Che." She said that because she's desperate. But Gu Jingze won't believe her anyway. He'll only hate her more. What are you worried about? Rumors will fall apart sooner or later. Don't be too angry. Hearing this, Lin Che slowly calmed down. He was indeed not that angry anymore. Yes, Gu Jingze wouldn't believe it anyway. He knew the truth. So what did it matter what other people felt or what rumors there were? On the contrary, if he was affected, Mo Huiling would be proud. Although Lin Che was still a little angry, he was not as angry as before. Gu Jingze had gone out early in the morning, and Lin Che followed him out. However, when they were outside, they saw some passers-by in the same neighborhood. When they saw Lin Che, their gazes were a little different. Lin Che didn't know many people in the circle, so she didn't feel anything. Suddenly, Liu Beichen sent her a WeChat message, asking her what was going on. Lin Che was speechless. "How do you know?" Liu Beichen didn't say anything and directly added her into a group. Lin Che was stunned. He opened the group and took a look. Not all of them were rich young ladies. At this time, they were refreshing the news and constantly discussing. "I think Lin Che is a little too much. Although he is angry, he can't chase a pregnant woman away. Yeah, he is so mean to a pregnant woman. He is so mean." Lin Che scrolled through the group gloomily and asked Liu Beichen, "What are you doing?" Liu Beichen said, "Didn't you ask me where I saw it from? It was here." "Boss. Then why don't you add me into the group? I am so angry." "Okay, then why don't you quit?" Liu Beichen said. Lin Che thought for a moment and said, "Forget it, I am already in. Why should I quit?" Lin Che looked at the group again. These rich ladies usually had nothing to do, but they were as gossipy as the netizens on the internet. Lin Che was being scolded like a dog. She didn't look at it anymore. She closed WeChat and prepared to go to the company to deal with other matters. Mo Huiling looked at her masterpiece and listened to the phone call to comfort her. She asked the servants at home, "Did you guys go and see Lin Che go out?" "That's right, Mississippi. Lin Che went out as usual." Mo Huiling harumphed and said, "How shameless. If it were me, I would have stayed at home and didn't dare to come out. How dare she go out?" However, in the next moment, Mo Huiling smiled proudly. "Forget it. It seems that she was angered and didn't want others to laugh at her, so she pretended that nothing had happened. Serves her right. I knew that you dared to treat me like this. Why didn't you think about how vulnerable I am right now? I am a pregnant woman. Emma Wheeling was very happy. She continued to find people to spread the news and told Li Mingyu about it. Li Mingyu was abroad. After hearing Emma Wheeling's call, he said quietly, "You are too reckless." Emma Wheeling said, "Anyway, you have to help me spread the news. Otherwise, I won't tell Gu Jingze that you stole the sperm. Otherwise, how do you think he will deal with you if he finds out?" At the mention of this, Li Mingyu didn't want to say more. He just said, okay. I will help you. I just want to tell you not to be reckless." Chapter 634. When Lin Che arrived at the company, he immediately received a piece of good news. Yu Minmin said, "I just received notice from the production crew that you've been chosen as the female lead for Blood. Everyone thinks that you're the most suitable candidate." Lin Che immediately heaved a sigh of relief happily. "Is that so? That's great, there's finally some good news. Otherwise, I'd really be depressed to death." Yu Minmin said, "All right, don't be angry over that matter anymore. Is there a need to be like this?" "I know there's no need to be like this." Yu Minmin pulled Lin Che up and followed him to the practice room at the back of the company. "Come and take a look. The newly signed newcomers have already started practicing in class." Lin Che's interest was piqued when he heard that. He followed Yu Minmin to the back. From the window at the back, he could see the people in class in the practice room. Yu Minmin said, "Shui Yang's performance in the crew isn't bad. Recently, he's picked up a role in a TV series. This time, it's a role with quite a lot of scenes. When he's done with his scenes, he can go over and film it." "Is that so? That's great." Lin Che felt very satisfied when he heard that the people they'd signed were pretty good. Although she was starting to be a boss, she didn't really feel like one until now. When she saw these newcomers working hard, she finally felt that these people were relying on her and the company. Lin Che saw that the newcomers were working very hard and listening attentively to the company's employees. They listened very hard to the performance teacher that Yu Minmin had hired through her connections. However, at this moment, someone called out, "Look, it's Sis Che." The few of them turned around one after another. Seeing them, Lin Che could only push open the back door with a smile and walk in. "Hello, everyone. Sorry to disturb you." No. Sis Che, you're here." "Sis Che, we're in the middle of a performance class. Why don't you say a few words?" "That's right. Sis Che, your acting is so good. Do you have any experience?" Lin Che could only walk over and say to everyone, acting skills are indeed gained through practice. In the past, there were a lot of actors whose acting skills were pretty good. Everyone felt that a lot of actors nowadays couldn't compare to their acting skills. Actually, it was because they had all filmed many shows. At that time, actors weren't worth much. Everyone was just like office workers, receiving a normal salary and getting bonuses if they filmed more shows. Whatever the company wanted them to film, they would film. So, everyone could only work hard to earn money, so the more they filmed, the more acting skills they would slowly develop. So, I hope that you guys don't rush. Everyone, take your time and study hard. Acting skills can't be explained with words. After Lin Che finished speaking, he turned around and smiled at the teacher. "I was just speaking nonsense." "You're right. Lin Che, you can be considered a celebrity with decent acting skills now. But some other celebrities are really, a few of them, for the sake of their own fame, only look at the influence when they take on a show. When it's time to film, they're worried that it'll affect their image. That's why they have too much of a personal image during filming, and it's very easy for them to not conform to the script. That's really not good." Lin Che smiled and said, "All right, everyone heard that. I hope our company can walk the path of acting skills first. I hope everyone understands that only acting skills can support us to the end. Without acting skills and only fame, we might only be popular for a while, right?" Everyone immediately applauded and said in support, "Sis Che, we understand. We have to learn from Sis Che and walk the path of acting. That's the only way we can be as popular as Sis Che for so long and continue to be popular." "That's right. Qin Wanwan was so amazing before, but she's quiet now. Yeah, she can't compare to our Sis Che at all. Her acting skills are so terrible, yet she's still fighting for roles with Sis Che." Lin Che was speechless for a moment. She didn't expect them to bring it up to this point. She hurriedly said, No. Actually, Qin Wanwan and I aren't walking the same path. We're being put together because of the media." Yu Minmin politely told everyone to continue studying and left with Lin Che. Lin Che said, "Their flattery is really..." Yu Minmin smiled and said, "Of course. You're a big tree now. Many people want to borrow your blessings. Forget it, it's true. You're not only a popular celebrity now, but you're also their boss. Of course they'll listen to you. It's just like when you first entered the company. You must have felt that people like Song Shuhai were very reasonable and impressive, and wanted to hug his thigh and be guided by him. Now, that's how they see you. Lin Che thought about it. She was indeed like that back then. However, she didn't expect them to think of her the same way now. So, she was as lofty as the feeling Song Shuhai gave her back then? Alright, she was really at a loss for a moment. The two of them chatted and laughed as they went back. Before they could finish their high spirits, they were abruptly stopped by a piece of news. Sis Yu, I just saw the news on the internet about Sis Che being chosen for a role, Yu Minmin said. Is that so? The news spread so quickly. We haven't posted anything yet, right? We didn't post it. Someone leaked it. Yu Minmin waved her hand to indicate that she understood. Then, she turned on her computer and looked at the news. Many of the news at the beginning were considered normal. However, there was a piece of news at the end that was very eye-catching. Someone said, Lin Che is really the #1 acting actor in the country now. No one can match him. Previously, people were talking about how amazing Qin Wanwan was, but she's not as famous as Lin Che now. Out of the 4 little female actresses back then, only Lin Che is still so popular now, right? The other 2 are already past their prime before they could even become popular. Yu Minmin scrolled through the comments below. There were also people saying the same thing. Lin Che is obvious to all. The others can't do it. Qin Wanwan has long been sidelined, and Mu Firen is also getting old. Lin Che is definitely more popular than Mu Firen now. Otherwise, why would the production team look for Lin Che and not Mu Firen? They would definitely look for the most popular female actress in the country to earn the most box office. Lin Che's fans were naturally happy to see this. They immediately reposted it and said, that's right. Of course my Che's acting skills are good. Baby Che's acting skills are obvious to all. Baby Che is mighty. Let's head to Hollywood next. The female lead in Blood has quite a lot of scenes. She's also the vampire queen. Baby Che is amazing. However, the others immediately disagreed. A fan of Qin Wanwan said, who are you calling a has-been? Support your Lin Che. Don't step on others, alright? Chapter 635. Some of Mu Firen's fans also started scolding, saying, get this straight. Mu is too lazy to compete with you and wants to live his own life. That's why he doesn't want to be exposed so much. He's already Dugu Chiobai, alright? Someone's fans should have some manners. Don't be so shameless. Lin Che's fans started scolding them, and they started scolding them very fiercely. Lin Che's fan said, can't you see how old Mu Firen is? How dare he compete with a younger generation? Mu Firen's fans became even more agitated. Mu Firen is only a few years older than Lin Che, alright? He debuted earlier than her. Oh, Mu Firen's sugar daddy is so bad. He looks like he's 10 or 20 years older than her. Of course I think so. It's still better than Lin Che, who relied on being praised and courted all the way up. Such a person dares to talk about acting skills, it's really hilarious. When our Mumu won the Golden Name Award, your Lin Che was still peeing on you. This time, they started scolding him thoroughly. The words that followed were even more unbearable to look at, and they were simply speechless. Yu Minmin was puzzled. At Smart Movies, Qin Wanwan was scrolling through her phone, smiling as she watched the scolding war that was getting more and more intense. Sister Lin said with a smile, looks like we can reap the benefits from this. Qin Wanwan said, alright, a lot of our people are scolding each other here, acting as if they are scolding each other. It'll be great if you can expand the influence and bring more and more fans in. Wanwan, don't worry. It's just starting now. It won't be long before the scolding becomes more intense. Don't worry, they just confirmed that the female lead of Blood was given to Lin Che today. We're not prepared enough. Starting today, tomorrow and the day after, the show will definitely continue. Qin Wanwan's lips curled up into a coquettish smile, and her thin chin also rose a little. Lin Che moved behind Yu Minmin and watched. Yu Minmin said, these comments are a little strange. Yeah, Lin Che said, why would my fans say such things? It's too much, isn't it? Yeah, I also think it's too much, Lin Che said. Yu Minmin said, moreover, the comments below are all like this. Occasionally, there'll be a comment like this, but once it's over, it's over. Yet, there are so many of them. It looks like someone is purposely posting these comments. No way, then what should we do? Let's wait and see first. I'll have someone monitor the situation tonight and think about how we should respond. Lin Che clenched his fists, looked ahead, and said gloomily, "I've never thought about competing with anyone. I don't want to compete with Qinhuanhuan, and I definitely won't compete with Mufiren. A tall tree attracts the wind. I'm talking about you. Alright, let's go back first." Lin Che felt a little depressed. She was scolded at home because Mo Huiling had spread rumors, and now she was being scolded on the internet. She really wondered if she had done something wrong. She must have done something wrong, or if she was really a bad person, that was why she was scolded like this. She could feel that her emotions were a little unstable. She thought that perhaps her period was coming, so she was more anxious. She decided not to look at Weibo or Tieba for the time being when she got home, so that she would not continue to be angry. However, when she reached home, she saw that Liu Beichen had sent her another message. "Wow, you're famous now. There are people in the industry who support you." Lin Che asked curiously, "What do you mean? Didn't you see the WeChat group? They've been arguing for the whole afternoon. I didn't watch it. I'm just afraid I'm going to be tortured." Lin Che quickly opened the WeChat group. It was unknown how many conversations had been going on inside. It was unknown how long it had been lively. Lin Che quickly scrolled through the chat history and found that many people had come out to speak up for him. Lin Che is the champion of the WW banquet. How can he be worse than Mo Huiling? I support Lin Che. Let's not talk about anything else. Mo Huiling is the one who's shameless enough to come to Gu Jingze's house with a child. Gu Jingze hasn't even admitted that the child is his. Who knows where Mo Huiling got the child from? Gu Jingze doesn't want it, yet she's still sticking it to him. One of the women disagreed. "It's you men who are cheap. You throw him away when you're done playing with him. You women are not cheap, sending yourselves to the door for others to play with. You're the cheap one. You're the cheap one. If you dare to call me cheap one more time, don't even think about getting your family's fresh seafood tomorrow. I'll make all your hotel chains close down." Humph. The woman threatened. The man sent a cheap emoji and said, "Okay, then when are you going to pay back the 200 million you owe my bank? You're asking for our money because of Lin Che? How much interest does our family pay you every year? Didn't you want to throw money first? I'll throw 200 million to support Lin Che today. If you don't like it, then throw more." He threw down his threat and the others immediately swarmed in. "I'll throw 100 million. My family is poor. I'll throw 50 million. Next month, all the big screens in my shopping malls will show Lin Che. Next year, all the characters in my amusement park will be replaced with Lin Che's profile picture. I'll do my part." The women didn't dare to say anything when they heard the men throwing money so fiercely. Lin Che was shocked. He exited the chat and asked Liu Beichen, "What is this group? What exactly is it?" "It's a group for rich kids to communicate with each other," Liu Beichen said. Lin Che hurriedly replied, "You scared me to death, okay? They're throwing 100 million right off the bat. That's nothing. However, the one who supported you just now is quite powerful in the group. His family owns a private bank and a hotel chain. The woman who scolded him is from a family that runs a private airport. She's not as rich as his family, so she didn't dare to throw money." Lin Che felt that his outlook on life had been turned upside down. Since when did she get involved with these people? On this day, these rich kids said they would help and supported Lin Che. They said many good things for Lin Che and told Mo Huiling to come out and confront them if she had the guts and not to spread rumors in private. They were all waiting for Mo Huiling to say it in front of them. Mo Huiling didn't dare to confront them in front of them. She couldn't afford to offend these people, let alone others. Although the Mo family was considered a big family, there were many more powerful families in the circle. She scanned through the young masters who had come out to speak and realized that she didn't dare to confront any of them directly. Among these people, someone even asked someone to tell her that they could come out and talk. The person who brought the message to Mo Huiling said, "They said that if you don't want to go find them, we'll meet at the Golden Lounge. If you dare to go, they dare to go. This time, don't talk nonsense. Otherwise, I think they're really serious." Mo Huiling was so shocked that her whole body shrank. She felt her sweat turn cold. They were actually speaking up for Lin Che. Since when did Lin Che become so likable? These men were actually standing on her side to help her. Mo Huiling was getting more and more jealous. She was especially jealous of Lin Che. She didn't know what was good about Lin Che, or were they blind to think that such a lowly woman was good and even stood up for her. But on a deeper level, Mo Huiling also wanted someone to stand up for her, but she had never been treated like this before, especially when these rich kids were throwing money at her to support her. It was so cool to hear about it. Chapter 636. Mo Huiling was envious. Then, her gaze turned malicious as she looked at the cold moonlight outside. It's all because she knows how to win people's hearts. Humph. When Father Mo saw this, he rushed back. Huiling, you really can't do this anymore. I heard at the office today that you've offended many high-ranking officials and nobles because of your words. What are we going to do if they gang up on us? Mo Huiling was already annoyed and angry. When she heard her father's words, she became even angrier. Dad, don't worry about it. I know what I'm doing. Father Mo wasn't going to listen to her. He quickly surrounded her and said worriedly, Huiling, our family can't fight against so many people. Moreover, what's the use of bad-mouthing her? You'll offend someone and we won't get anything out of it. I told you to be careful. Look at how many people you've offended because of this incident. Mo Huiling stood up angrily. Father Mo surrounded her and tried to persuade her, Huiling. It's all because of Lin Che. You're not as good as her. Who can you blame for knowing so many people? If you were like her and tried to win people's hearts, you wouldn't be fighting alone now. Who told you not to be as good as her and know so many people? That's enough, Dad. Don't say anymore. I'm already annoyed. If you keep saying this, I'll just die, Mo Huiling shouted angrily. All right, don't be angry. Father Mo gave in to her because she was pregnant with Gu Jing's child. You should just wait quietly for the child to be born. The good thing is that the Mo family can protect you and won't let anyone touch your child. But Lin Che is so powerful now. It's better for you to stay away from him. Otherwise, he might really do something to your child. That's the most important thing. Mo Huiling snorted. She wasn't satisfied but she had no other choice. Father Mo was still shaking his head and muttering, I didn't expect Lin Che to be so powerful. In such a short period of time, he's gotten to know so many people. Any one of them would be enough to deal with the Mo family for a while. Now that they've joined forces, it's really scary. Seeing that everyone was so supportive, Lin Che couldn't just stand by and say a few words, so she said to Liu Beichen, help me say thank you to them. Liu Beichen said, you're in the group anyway. Go and say it yourself. How could Lin Che dare to do that? I don't want to. There are so many rich people here. If I go out and talk to them, it'll be so awkward. Are you going to talk to them? I'll help them to the end. Liu Beichen sent a facepalm emoji. All right, I'll be going then. Not long after, a message appeared in the WeChat group. Liu Beichen, I'd like to thank everyone on Lin Che's behalf. It's not convenient for Lin Che to speak, so he asked me to thank everyone for their support and trust. Liu Beichen, what the fuck, why are you here? Liu Beichen, you're also on Lin Che's side? Boss Liu, you didn't even invite me to your wedding banquet. When are you going to treat me alone? As soon as Liu Beichen appeared, everyone started talking. Lin Che watched on. He hadn't expected Liu Beichen to attract so much firepower. Feeling a little embarrassed, she quickly said to Liu Beichen alone, all right, thank you. Liu Beichen said, it's okay. Just ignore them. After Lin Che settled the matter, he returned to the company and continued to watch the war of words that was brewing on the internet. Yu Minmin was still monitoring the situation. When she realized that the war of words hadn't stopped, it was getting more and more heated. She was afraid that she would have to deal with it. She first asked someone to check some IPs and blocked the IPs that were borrowed from them. Some zombie marketing accounts were also blocked. She even set Lin Che's and Mu Firen's names as sensitive terms. As long as the two were mentioned in the comments, they would be checked. However, the war of words was no longer about whether the two were popular or not. Instead, it was about their acting skills. Some people had ulterior motives and compared Lin Che's acting skills with Mu Firen's award-winning TV series. At that time, Lin Che was still young and inexperienced. Although he also had acting skills, he still had some flaws and didn't feel smooth. Compared to Mu Firen's natural acting skills, he immediately lost his advantage. Some people mocked him and said, how dare you compare acting skills with Mu Firen? There's a huge gap between them. Lin Che was infuriated. However, this piece of information was acknowledged by so many people and they thought it was a true comparison. Moreover, this was only the beginning. Yu Minmin then discovered that the media released a piece of news saying that Lin Che clearly came out of the audition with a long face. It looked like the audition wasn't ideal, but she still got the role of the female lead in the end. She asked if there was something fishy going on. A netizen immediately used his bold hypothesis and said, she pulled a long face at the time, so she probably didn't get chosen. Then, a few days later, people said that her acting skills weren't good, but she used other tricks behind the scenes. That's right. This isn't the first time Lin Che stole a role. Didn't he steal Qin Wanwan's role before? The witchcraft notes were supposed to be Qin Wanwan's too. Lin Che, get out of the cast of blood. Don't sully Hollywood. That's right. With Lin Che, we won't contribute to the box office. The producers can't be like this. For the sake of the Asian box office, they can only choose active actors and not actors with good acting skills. We don't want Lin Che to ruin Blood. Lin Che used tricks behind the scenes to push Mu Firen away. If she doesn't have any acting skills, who did she sleep with this time to get this role? Lin Che sat there and sneered as the scolding intensified. These people are really energetic. Yu Minmin said, many people were envious when you got this role, but when Blood came to Country C, they didn't plan to look at them. They wanted to choose Mu Firen first, but Mu Firen couldn't act because of her own matter, so they chose you instead. They didn't consider anyone else at all, but it looks like their roles were stolen. Seriously, they're overthinking things. Lin Che said, forget it. Anyway, this isn't the first or second time they've pinned this shit on me. They can scold all they want. No matter how fiercely they scold, the role won't be theirs. Yu Minmin said, don't read the comments. I'll handle the problem. The Witchcraft Notes didn't choose Qin Wanwan originally, and now they're saying you stole her role. However, the Witchcraft Notes will be released soon. When the time comes, we'll show them what true acting skills are. What should we do now? I'll go and find out who's trying to take advantage of the situation. It's impossible for Mu Firen to be the culprit. She indeed has the intention to retire and wouldn't cause trouble for herself. It should be someone who's using Mu Firen. Chapter 637. Lin Che was too lazy to care about these things. After entering the group, he would open the group chat from time to time to see what these rich young ladies were talking about. Yu Minmin saw that she was looking at her phone and said, all right, didn't I tell you not to look at the comments? If you peek again, I'll confiscate it. All right, I'm not peeking at the comments. I'm looking at the WeChat group. Lin Che took out his phone and showed it to her. Yu Minmin looked at it and said in surprise, wow, what's this group? It's a group full of young ladies and young masters. Isn't this a group of nouveau riches? Yu Minmin looked up, her eyes shining. Lin Che said, yeah. If I can get in and get some sponsors, then, he. Yu Minmin's eyes were already shining with money. Lin Che patted her head. Yu Minmin, you're only thinking about money. Yu Minmin came back to her senses and smiled. No, I'm just saying. Lin Che said, if you want to go in, I can pull you in. Yu Minmin waved her hand and said, forget it. I have nothing to say even if I go in. I haven't said anything either. I just came in to see what they're talking about. Then I'll just listen to you and see what these rich ladies are talking about? Actually, they're really not that different from ordinary people. I've been looking at them all afternoon. Lin Che said, they're all talking about cosmetics, shopping, bags, Hermes, Chanel, and the like. The guys are going out to pick up girls, go to nightclubs, buy ships, planes, cars, game consoles, and the like. Yu Minmin exclaimed, so they're using the time we spend shopping on Taobao to discuss more high-end things? They're really not that different from us, except for the money. Lin Che got up and saw that the president's car had arrived. Lin Che smiled and said, Aya, Mr. President is here to pick you up. Yu Minmin looked out and blushed. She said, I'm going back first. You should go back early too. Go, I won't hold you up. Yu Minmin left just like that. Lin Che sighed as he watched her leave. He took out his phone and continued to read the comments. Although reading the comments was asking for abuse, she couldn't help it. She had a fragile heart, yet she still went in to be abused. She finally understood what it felt like. Sometimes, when she saw those unreasonable but righteous comments, she really wanted to go up and scold them. However, her rationality constantly warned her not to scold them. This kind of feeling was the worst. Fuck, especially those who said that she had no acting skills and that she had relied on sleeping to get to where she was. They said that she would ruin the popularity of the movie and that the box office would definitely fall to pieces. Lin Che really wanted to go up and confront them. He wanted to tell them to come over and he would act for them to see if they had any acting skills. However, there was nothing he could do. She could only look on and endure. At this moment, a man's voice rang out from above, Sis Che, you haven't left yet? Lin Che raised his head and saw that it was actually Shui Yang. She laughed and said, yeah, I'm leaving soon. Why are you here? Shui Yang said, the public relations department just asked me to come back to sign the contract. I'll be going to another production team to act. Is that so? Are you getting used to it? Yeah, I'm getting used to it. Lin Che said, that's good. The roles now are a little small, but we'll find better roles for you in time. No, the roles now are already very good. In the past, my scenes were only a few minutes long. Now, I'm already very satisfied that I get to play every role from start to finish. Shui Yang saw that she was still looking at the Weibo comments. He sighed and said to her, Sis Che, ignore these comments. They don't know what kind of person you are, Sis Che, that's why they're scolding you. Lin Che nodded and patted him on the shoulder. I know. Everything has its pros and cons. I wanted to be famous back then, but now that I have some fame, I'll be scolded. This is for sure. Don't worry about me. Oh, right. If you're free, you can join some activities or something. I'll see if there's any next time and bring you along. Shui Yang said in surprise. Can I? I haven't participated in any activities before. Of course. If there's a slot next time, I'll bring you along. All right, go to the public relations department. I'm going home. Okay. Thank you, Sis Che. Lin Che watched Shui Yang walk away in high spirits, thinking about what he had just said. That's right. When I wanted to be famous back then, I said that no matter what, I would hold it in. Now that I'm really famous, I shouldn't forget my original intentions. That's right. Being scolded means that I'm famous. Lin Che was on his way back when he heard Yu Minmin call him at this time. I asked for their IP address just now. These IP fake reviewers are all from a marketing company. Do you know who this company has worked with before? Who? Our company in the past. Smart Movies? Yeah. Lin Che seemed to have understood. Actually, there were ways for people in the industry to investigate this. Everyone knew about marketing companies, and they would also know which companies the fake reviewers came from. Different marketing companies had different ways of doing things, so they could guess what was going on. It was just that there was no evidence. Since it's from Smart Movies, the one who did this is Qin Wanwan? I think so, Yu Minmin said. Lin Che finally understood. She was looking for trouble again. After understanding it, her mood instantly became better. If she was really in a bad mood, wouldn't it make Qin Wanwan happier? She also felt that her emotions weren't quite right recently. She was easily affected by things and seemed to be more sensitive than before. In the past, she was careless and never cared about these things. When she returned home, Gu Jingze informed her that she could pick up Prince. Lin Che hurriedly said, "That's great, I'll go over right away." "No need, I'll come and pick you up." "All right." Gu Jingze came as soon as he said he would. He quickly arrived at home to pick her up. Lin Che was much happier, especially when she got home. Without that despicable Mo Huiling being an eyesore, she felt much better. He really didn't understand why she still made life difficult for him when he was so happy now. The two of them went to pick up Prince. When they arrived, they saw that Prince could already move, but they still couldn't let him move too much. He still had to continue to recover from his injuries. The doctor carefully handed the dog over to them. "You still have to cover the one on his stomach. Be careful not to let him lick his wounds." Lin Che hugged the little dog pitifully. "Poor little thing, you'll get better soon. You've suffered these few days. Let's go home soon." Chapter 638. The doctor watched as the two of them took the dog back. The past few days of fear had finally passed, and they were completely relieved. Otherwise, the Gu family's bodyguards would be standing outside, and no one would dare to come in. It would affect their business too much. People who didn't know better would think that they had done something wrong. Lin Che brought the dog back. The servants had already prepared a new, warmer nest for the dog. They were prepared to take care of Prince's injury in case anything happened in the future. Gu Jingze hugged Lin Che. "All right, there's someone watching. Don't worry. Let's go and rest first." Lin Che said, "Can I watch for a while longer?" Gu Jingze purposely pulled a long face. "If that's the case, I'll ask someone to send the dog back to the hospital." Hey, don't. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to sleep, okay?" Gu Jingze said with an expression that was more like it. He left with Lin Che, who was reluctant to leave. The next day, Lin Che had to go abroad with the crew of Blood to sign a contract. Lin Che said to Gu Jingze, "I'll be going there for a few days and will be back in a few days. I didn't get any notice before, but I was suddenly told to go there today. I guess this is the procedure. Also, the director and other staff want to see me." Gu Jingze frowned slightly. His face looked cold and he didn't seem happy. Lin Che snuggled into his arms and reached out to touch his stubbled chin. She felt it was very comfortable. "I can't let them come to see country to see me. It's so far away. Of course it's more reasonable for me to see them alone, right?" Gu Jingze could only nod slightly. Looking at Lin Che, who was looking at him pitifully, he sighed. He couldn't do anything about her. "I'll ask someone to arrange a plane to send you there." I'll just take a normal plane." Lin Che wanted to say that she usually went out with Gu Jingze because Gu Jingze was used to flying in private planes. It was more comfortable, so it was fine for her to fly with him. However, once a private plane was activated, it would cost a lot of money. If she went out by herself, it would be better if she could make do with it. Buying a first-class seat was more or less enough. Gu Jingze put his arm around her shoulders and looked straight into her face. His eyes seemed to be saying that if she didn't listen to him, he wouldn't let go of her. No. Lin Che blinked his eyes and looked at Gu Jingze. He asked carefully, then, does a private jet cost a lot of money? She remembered someone saying that buying a plane was a small sum of money, but maintaining one was a big sum of money. Every time they took off, from the cost of personnel, to the cost of fuel, to the cost of maintenance, it was a shocking amount. Gu Jingze said, it doesn't cost much to fly once. The Gu family has a special passage at the airport, and there are professionals there. We don't need to rent a special place. Ah? Really? I thought it would cost a lot of money. Lin Che said, no need. Gu Jingze said, the cost of gas, taxes, salaries, and other expenses add up to about 5 or 600,000 yuan. Only 5 or 600,000? A flight would cost so much money. It only cost her a little more than 10,000 yuan to buy a first-class ticket. She quickly waved her hand. No. I'll fly there myself. I'll bring a few staff with me. It'll only cost a few tens of thousands of yuan. Gu Jingze turned her shoulders over again. This money is nothing. I hope you can arrive safely. It's not safe to fly by yourself. Lin Che looked at him. How is it nothing? We're husband and wife. Your money is my money. It hurts me to spend so much money. Isn't your money my money? Gu Jingze's eyes seemed to be burning. He looked at Lin Che for a while before he smiled and pulled her into his arms. I earn money for you to spend. If you don't use it, what motivation do I have to work so hard? But, be obedient, Gu Jingze said firmly. This is the least I want. If it weren't for the fact that it happened so suddenly and he really didn't have time to spare, he wouldn't have let her go to such a faraway place alone. Lin Che blinked her bright eyes. Seeing his serious look, she couldn't help but laugh. All right, I'm just going abroad for a while. It's not like I've never been abroad before. You're so stupid. Who knows if you'll get lost while walking? You're so annoying. I won't. It's not like you haven't gotten lost before. That was just an accident? Lin Che knew that he was talking about the time she got lost in France. Gu Jingze held her hand and pointed at her fingers. He spared no effort in reminding her, anyway, remember to be careful after you're done. My men will be with you at all times. Also, come back after you're done. Okay, he kissed her lips lightly, leaving a little bit of moisture on her lips. He looked at Lin Che. He had a feeling that if he let go of her hand, she would get lost. He was so worried, as if she was a child. He was actually afraid that she would melt if he held her in his mouth, afraid that she would fall if he held her in his hands. He, who had never had a soft spot, had a lot of worries at this moment. He knew that he shouldn't be doing this, but he couldn't suppress this feeling. He put away the gloominess on his face and resumed his calm expression. He patted her butt and said, go and get ready. Lin Che knew that she couldn't reject him, so she could only nod. Gu Jingze returned to the Gu residence. Gu Xiande had something to tell him. When he returned, Gu Xiande, Gu Lanshan, his aunt, and Mu Wanqing were all there. Gu Xiande said, Little Che isn't home? Gu Jingze looked around, his eyes landing on Gu Lanshan for a while before he said, he went abroad. Gu Xiande nodded silently. Every wrinkle on his old face seemed to be writing majesty. His fingers moved on the table. The emerald ring on his finger was buckled on the table, making a rhythmic sound. Jingze, I heard that you chased Mo Wheeling away. What's going on? There have been so many rumors these past 2 days. It's annoying to hear. The Gu family had always kept a low profile. It had been many years since such rumors had spread. But now, it was being brought up again, and every time, it wasn't a good thing. Especially this time, the matter of the child had caused a huge commotion in the city. It had alarmed the entire Gu family. Everyone came to Gu Xiande to gossip about it and ask him how he should deal with it. Gu Jingze asked, Grandfather, who disturbed your rest and gossiped about you? Gu Jingze didn't look at Gu Lanshan, but he was looking in the direction of Gu Lanshan. Gu Lanshan stood up immediately. Jingze, what do you mean by this? Do you think that I'm the one who said it? This time, you can't push the blame to me. These rumors have been circulating for a long time. Everyone has heard it, and many people have come to our house to ask about it. I didn't say anything in front of your grandfather, so don't try to blame it on me. Gu Lanshan harumphed and said, Our Gu family has never had such a ridiculous thing happen in all these years. That's why I say that when you marry a wife, you have to look at the person. If she comes from a good family, has a clean background, and is of equal social status, it will have a great impact on the future. Chapter 639. Gu Jingze stood there and listened to her words. His gaze turned serene and his figure darkened. Uncle-in-law, are you talking about Lin Che? Look, you know it yourself. It's only because we married someone with an unclean family background that our family is in such a mess. Gu Lanchan knew that she had fallen out with Lin Che. Gu Lanchan knew that she had already fallen out with Lin Che. If she were to become the matriarch of the Gu family in the future, she would definitely not have a good life. She might as well not care about all this. If she could make a fuss, then so be it. It would be best if she could completely separate Lin Che from Gu Jingze. If Mo Huiling married into the family, she would be easier to control than Lin Che. However, if she could not, at least she could make a fuss until Lin Che could no longer be the matriarch of the Gu family. Or, if he completely lost his prestige, he would not be able to do anything to her. As for Gu Jingze, they shared the same surname and were relatives. Even if he did not like her, he would not do anything to her. It was not the same for those who did not share the same surname. Gu Jingze slowly turned his head. There was no warmth in his clear and bright eyes. His dark pupils seemed empty, but they gave off a chill. Faintly, there was a deterrent force circulating around them. Gu Jingze said, "Aunt, have you forgotten that it was grandfather who asked me to marry Lin Che? Are you trying to make things difficult for grandfather by mentioning this in front of him?" Gu Lanchan scoffed, "Your grandfather wanted you to marry her for the sake of carrying on the family line. However, not only has she failed to fulfill this responsibility, she has even gotten herself into trouble. Since that's the case, there's someone else who can carry on the family line. Compared to Lin Che, who has a clean background, a stable family, and an obvious status, Lin Che is naturally not the best candidate. I believe that there are many who share the same thoughts as me." Gu Jingze suddenly smiled. A gloomy aura immediately spread out along with this cold smile, causing people to instantly feel a strong sense of deterrence as it spread out from his body. "I came back not to listen to Aunt's criticism of my wife, but to inform everyone that my wedding with Lin Che will be held in the near future. Moreover, it will be held in a grand manner." Gu Lanchan was stunned. They had never held a wedding before. Why would they suddenly want to hold one now? Was she going to openly announce Lin Che's identity so that she could pave the way for her to become the mistress in the future? Gu Lanchan's expression changed. She looked at Gu Xianda coldly and said, "I don't agree. I believe that there are many people who don't agree as well. She hasn't given birth to a child after so long. Who knows if her body can't handle it? If we really announce our marriage, it would be even more of a joke if there were any changes in the future. Holding a wedding? Letting Lin Che enter our Gu family is already her greatest honor, and we still want to hold a wedding for her? How can her status match?" "Aunt." Gu Jingze turned his attention to her. When he stared at Gu Lanchan, his gaze appeared calm and tranquil, but there was a hint of malice hidden within. Gu Jingze didn't do anything easily, but once he did, no one could stop him. He had been infamous for his coldness since he was young. Even though Gu Lanchan was too lazy to ask about it, she had long heard about it. However, she still didn't believe that he would do anything to her, his aunt, just because of Lin Che. After all, she was his biological aunt. However, when she was stared at by Gu Jingze like this, her heart gradually became a little blurred. That was because his eyes were too cold, so cold that it seemed to freeze her heart. It made her feel cold from the inside out, and the coldness began to spread from the inside of her skin. Gu Jingze said, "I call you aunt because we are related by blood. Other than that, I have never received any kindness from aunt since I was young. I have never been taken care of by aunt for a day, and I don't have much affection for aunt either. So, this is my warning to you. Don't interfere with my marriage with Lin Che." Gu Lanchan's body trembled from the impact of his strong aura. Gu Lanchan felt her heart tremble. She held onto her chest, her red lips half open. Even the makeup on her face couldn't hide the fear on her face. Even though she had always known Gu Jingze's character, this was the first time he had stared at her like this. And it was because of a woman. It was because of Lin Che. As a member of the Gu family, Gu Lanchan had never been treated like this in her life. She had never been spoken to like this. However, looking at Gu Jingze's gaze, she seemed to have lost the ability to speak and was momentarily at a loss for words. After a long time, she finally regained some strength and turned to Gu Xianda immediately. "Father, I know that you wanted Jingze to marry Lin Che, but that was elder sister-in-law's suggestion. It wasn't your original intention. Look at what Lin Che has done now, relying on the fact that you appointed her personally. What has Lin Che done? She has even bewitched Jingze to protect her and go against his own family. If things continue like this, who knows what will happen in the future?" Gu Xianda had been listening intently. Having been in the business world for so many years, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that Gu Xianda was a wily old fox. He looked at Gu Jingze and Gu Lanshan and said, Jingze, be more polite to your aunt. As a junior, you should know your limits. Gu Lanshan's expression softened a little, but the next moment, Gu Xiande said, Lanshan, you're being too nosy. Jingze has to deal with this matter, but it's not as serious as you make it out to be. He looked at Gu Jingze and said, if Mo Huiling's child is born, bring her for a DNA test immediately. If it's the Gu family's child, I'll raise it for you. If it's not the Gu family's child, I'll announce it to the public immediately. But for the time being, don't hold a wedding before the child is born. Otherwise, the rumors will only worsen. Gu Jingze shifted his gaze to Gu Xiande and said, Grandfather. Gu Xiande said, Jingze, you should listen to me on this matter. What if I say no? The few of them were stunned again. Was Gu Jingze going to rebel against Gu Xiande in order to announce it to the public with Lin Che? Gu Lanshan came forward again and said, Father, did you see that? I told you that Lin Che would be a disaster sooner or later. Gu Jingze was still standing there, but he seemed to have an unstoppable force. He said calmly, even if she's a disaster, I'm taking her now. If you want to object, you have to listen to me first. I've already said that I'm going to announce our marriage. The wedding photos have already been taken and we can start preparing for the wedding soon. It doesn't matter if you object, I don't care. I'm just here to inform you. You. Gu Lanshan glared at Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze's eyes lit up. Why, Aunt, do you have a problem with that? Gu Lanshan couldn't help but take a step back. She was the eldest miss of the Gu family after all, but she was being pressured by her own nephew. However, even though she wasn't convinced, she didn't dare to say a word when she saw Gu Jingze's imposing manner. Chapter 640. It was as if the words were stuck in her chest. Even if she was angry, she couldn't say them. She didn't expect Gu Jingze to put so much pressure on her even though he didn't show it on his face when he was angry. No wonder he was the master of the Gu family. No wonder everyone was so afraid of him. This kingly aura was probably innate. Even if he didn't say anything overboard, he didn't need to say anything. It was enough for him to just look at her. Although Gu Lanshan was unwilling, she could only swallow it down silently. As she looked at Gu Xiande, she seemed to think that if Gu Xiande couldn't do anything to Gu Jingze, how could she possibly stand a chance against him? She could only endure it for the time being, but her disgust for Lin Che grew even stronger. There were so many servants and members of the Gu family watching, waiting for her news, but she was reprimanded by Gu Jingze. How could she put her face? As the eldest miss of the Gu family, she had never been so humiliated in her life. Gu Xiande coughed and stood up slowly with the armrest. He looked at Gu Jingze and said, My opinion on this matter is to stay calm. I know that you're an adult and I can't control you so much. But for the sake of Lin Che's reputation, you should think about it carefully. Do you want Lin Che to hold a wedding with you for no reason so that outsiders can watch Lin Che? As long as the matter of the child is not resolved, the more high profile you and Lin Che are, the more they will scold Lin Che. I know many people are on Lin Che's side, but the more they do so, the more they will hate them. You should think about it carefully. You should know better than me whether I'm trying to scare you or not. Gu Xiande snorted and looked at Gu Lanshan. Gu Lanshan chased after Gu Xiande angrily. Gu Jingze flicked his sleeves and left, as if he didn't hear Gu Xiande's words. Mu Wanqing was hesitant, but she couldn't care too much about this matter. She could only hold her hands worriedly, her heart full of emotions. Who would have thought that a careless mistake back then would lead to today's unforeseen event? He could only sigh. It was Lin Che's fate that was full of misfortune, causing one incident after another, causing him to be unable to live in peace. However, she was also an experienced person. She knew that no matter who married into the Gu family, they would have to go through this process. After all, it was lonely at the top. She had been at the top for so many years, and was used to being pierced by thousands of arrows. She was afraid that the one who would take over this position was Lin Che, and someone as naive as her would not be able to withstand it completely. Gu Lanshan couldn't hide her anger as she walked. Father, look. Jingze is too much. He's going against me for a woman. I'm his aunt. Gu Xiande said, all right, you're the one who's pushing him too far. I don't know how capable he really is. He's always been a child who hides his abilities from a young age. I can't even guess how many thoughts are hidden in that little head of his. I can't even guess how much power and influence he holds in his hands, and yet you're still pushing him like this? But, all right, it's not like we're at that stage yet. Don't be too impatient when you do things. Gu Lanshan didn't think that Gu Xiande, who had always been indifferent to matters of the heart, had never been this overbearing, even when he was with Mo Huiling and protected her millions of times. Now, he, who had always been cold, had actually given Lin Che the first hint of gentleness. Wasn't Lin Che a little too lucky? He was just an ordinary nobody with an ordinary family background. But because of Gu Jingza's protection, he suddenly soared to the top like a phoenix, and was no longer ordinary. However, when she thought of this strong contrast, and how someone with such a background was standing high and mighty above her, Gu Lanshan felt extremely angry. Lin Che brought the company's people to the airport. Everyone looked at Lin Che excitedly as they walked into the private passageway, entering the private jet's exclusive passageway. Curiosity colored their eyes. "Sister Che, this is great. This is my first time taking a plane like this. The passageways here are different from ordinary ones. Sister Che is really awesome, bringing us on a private jet. This trip abroad is too cool. If we tell others, they'll die of envy. I'm so envious that you followed the right person. It's not you who's amazing, it's Sister Che who's capable." Everyone giggled as they entered the VIP lounge. There was everything inside. Fruits, drinks, desserts, everything was there. Everyone was stunned. Lin Che smiled sheepishly, saying to everyone, "I borrowed it by chance. It's for everyone to be more comfortable on this business trip. After all, it's a 10-hour flight. A private jet. It must be comfortable. Sister Che, you're really too good to us." "That's right. I'll definitely bring out all my enthusiasm in the future and follow Sister Che to overcome all obstacles." They were a group of youngsters, after all. It was very lively when they gathered together, chatting and laughing as they boarded the plane. Yu Minmin received a call before the plane took off. She said to Lin Che, "Remember to tell me when you arrive." "All right. Don't treat me like a kid one by one. There are so many of you following me. How could I really get lost?" Yu Minmin laughed when she heard that, saying, "You can't blame me for that. If you want to blame someone, blame that person of yours. He called me directly this morning and told me to take good care of you. Aya, he treasures you so much. He's afraid that you'll melt in his mouth, afraid that you'll fall when he holds you in his hands. Scram, it's really hard to imagine that this person is actually Gu Jingza." All right, I'm hanging up. The plane is about to take off. All right, I'll let you off. Anyway, be careful when you're done. Just leave the matters here to me. Don't worry." Naggy, Yu Minmin. You're really getting more and more naggy. After Lin Che hung up, the plane was about to take off. Because the few of them were together, they chatted and laughed along the way. They didn't feel that the time was so hard to pass. More than 10 hours passed very quickly. When the few of them got off the plane, they saw someone from the production team coming to pick them up. The production team was surprised when they heard that they got off from a private jet. They didn't expect Country C's actors to be so generous, using a private jet to travel. They didn't dare to be negligent. They felt that Lin Che was really a big shot in Country C. His net worth wasn't low. Thus, they became much more enthusiastic and brought the few of them to the hotel to rest. Back in China. Mo Huiling called Gu Lanshan a few times, but Gu Lanshan didn't pick up. Gu Lanshan felt that she had misjudged Mo Huiling because she had embarrassed herself at the Gu family. She felt that Mo Huiling was really useless. She couldn't even compare to Lin Che, which was why she had embarrassed herself. Mo Huiling still didn't know what had happened at the Gu family. She had only heard rumors that Gu Jingza and Lin Che might be holding a wedding soon. She panicked immediately. Thinking about how Lin Che and Gu Jingza would be united at the wedding, she felt as if 10,000 thorns were pricking her heart. Was Gu Jingza really going to marry Lin Che? Chapter 641. Mo Huiling thought that she couldn't let them announce their marriage. Not only that, but her chances of winning were even slimmer. More importantly, she couldn't tolerate seeing Lin Che in a wedding gown standing next to Gu Jingza. That position should be hers. She felt disgusted at the thought of Lin Che. After Gu Jingza left, Mu Wanqing came to look for him several times. She didn't want Gu Jingza to fall out with his family. Even though these children were not good, the four of them had always been united, which made her feel comforted. They weren't like the rich and powerful families who fought over money. As a mother, she felt that it was worth it. Therefore, all these years, the Gu family had been peaceful and there hadn't been any trouble. She didn't expect that Gu Jingza, who had always been focused on his work, would have his own firm beliefs. He wanted something more than work. However, because of this, he had fallen out with his family. Speaking of which, the three brothers were similar. They didn't care about money or power, but they had fallen out with their families because of a relationship. From this point of view, as a mother, she felt worried. When Mu Wanqing arrived at the Gu residence, the servants came to her and said, "Madam, Mr. Gu said that you should go home. He knows what he's doing and won't cause trouble for no reason." Hearing this, Mu Wanqing could only sigh and say, "All right, tell him that his aunt might sow discord because of this. Tell him to be careful." Gu Jingze had grown up and his thoughts were much more meticulous than hers. He should have thought about things more comprehensively than her. She sighed. Thinking about Gu Jingze's behavior today, she could only sigh in her heart. Her son could become so powerful for the sake of his woman. Moreover, he had even rendered Gu Xianda and Gu Lanshan helpless. Speaking of which, she should feel proud. In the study, Qin Hao came in and said, "Sir, Madam has left." Qin Hao looked up and saw Gu Jingze standing by the window, looking at his phone. He didn't know what he was looking at. After a pause, Qin Hao didn't say anything. After a while, Gu Jingze turned around and said, "Get someone to keep an eye on Aunt's movements." Qin Hao said, "Yes." After thinking for a while, Qin Hao said, "But, sir, there's something I'm not sure if I should say." "Speak." "Since the child isn't yours, why don't you find an opportunity to get rid of the child? I actually have people in the Mo family, no." Gu Jingze looked at Qin Hao and said, "The child is gone, so it's even more impossible to know who the child belongs to. I want the truth to be revealed and prove that the child isn't mine. That way, Lin Che won't have to live with a stain on his life. Otherwise, in a few years, or even a few decades later, when this incident was brought up, everyone would say that Lin Che's husband, Gu Jingze, had a child outside who was killed by Lin Che. He had never cared about such gossip, but how could he bear to let Lin Che endure it?" Qin Hao was stunned at first, then he nodded in understanding. So it was because of his wife. That's right, if it wasn't for Madam, with Sir's methods. After Lin Che arrived in Los Angeles, he went to the hotel to rest and get used to the jet lag. She called Yu Minmin and told her that she had arrived. After reporting, she went to sleep. Yu Minmin hung up the phone. When she heard Gu Jingming come in, she quickly packed her things and ran out. Gu Jingming suddenly said, "There's a state visit in a while. You're coming with me." "Huh?" Yu Minmin said in surprise, "State visit? What's that?" "I have to go to Country A at the last minute. Pack up and go." "Huh? Wait, are you sure you want me to go?" Of course. You have enough free time as the First Lady. It's time for you to do something. Go pack up." Without giving Yu Minmin a chance to reject him again, he pushed her into the bedroom. Chapter 642. Mr. President was bending down for his wife and whispering into her ear. It was too intimate. And it was in front of the media. Mr. President was too nice and warm. Mrs. President? She was so lucky. However, they couldn't hear what Gu Jingming whispered into Yu Minmin's ear. "If you don't say anything, I'll throw you out." Yu Minmin cursed in her heart. She could only smile and wave at the media. The flashes of the media became even more intense. All the cameras were pointed at Yu Minmin. That day, Yu Minmin waved at the cameras and Gu Jingming whispering into her ear were on the cover of all the major media. The president and his wife go on a sweet visit. The fangirls are all drunk. The most beautiful regime in history. What did the president's wife save in her previous life to be so sweet today? Mr. President's popularity soars. Intimate photos are hidden. These kinds of headlines were everywhere on the internet. Yu Minmin was also praised. They said that she had a better temperament and looked more like the mother of the nation than she did at the wedding. Yin Suya could see these messages on the television. She narrowed her eyes. Gu Jingming actually brought Yu Minmin along for the visit today. Yin Suya knew that a few days ago, there was a rumor on the internet that the president never brought his wife along after his marriage. It was as if he was unmarried, which made people suspect that they were married. Gu Jingming's people must have seen this, so the public relations department suddenly let Yu Minmin go with him. Otherwise, Gu Jingming wouldn't have brought this uncultured woman along. Yin Suya continued to look at the photos. She couldn't hide the sorrow in her heart. Not to mention how she would feel when she saw those praises. Yes, no matter who it was, they would look very elegant when they wore the high-class clothes custom-made by the Glass Palace. Didn't they see that it was specially designed by a designer without any logo? Whoever stood in that high position would look like the mother of the nation. It was all because of Gu Jingming's temperament. Actually, Yu Minmin was not the mother of the nation if she was so timid. Yin Suya looked at it and picked up her phone. "Hey, Xiao Ai, Jingming is going to visit a nation today. Don't blame me for not telling you in advance." The person on the other end of the phone said, "You're really that generous to give Mr. President to me. Aren't I helping you? You said it yourself, your goods are stuck, and you need to pass through the stripes. You want to find Mr. President to open the way, but I can't do it now. After all, I'm not by Jingming's side, and you don't know the women around Jingming, and I'm not familiar with them. We can't count on them, so I can only give you this idea. After all, no man can refuse a woman's embrace. Right?" Well, then I really thank you. In fact, I saw it today. That Yu Min is with Mr. President. Some people say that she has temperament. Obviously, she doesn't have temperament. If you stand there, it's definitely the temperament of the mother of the country. What is she? When Insuya heard this, her heart tightened again. This was her pain. It was all her fault that she had missed Gu Jingming and everything that Yu Minmin had gained today. She held the phone tightly, but her voice was still as calm as before. Jingming and I are just good friends now. You can just say these words to me. If others hear it, they will think that I am very unwilling. Yes, of course I will only say these words to you. Okay, I will go to a nation. You said that you would help me, right? Of course, I will ask someone to send the invitation to the State Affairs Gala. Although her relationship with Gu Jingming was no longer what it used to be, she was still able to get an invitation card. That day, Yu Minmin and Gu Jingming arrived at a nation together. Because it was just nearby, they arrived in 2 hours. When they got off the plane, the welcoming party outside was even more enthusiastic. The State Affairs Gala welcomed them personally, and there were many media outlets following them outside. The president of C Nation was both handsome and good-looking. He was famous all over the world. Therefore, every bit of news about C Nation would easily be reported in the tabloids, and Gu Jingming would be mentioned at the same time. After all, Gu Jingming was young, wise, and handsome. He was loved by young girls from all over the world. Politics was originally a boring thing, but because of Gu Jingming, it became lively. C Nation felt that their Ministry of Foreign Affairs had saved a lot of trouble because of Gu Jingming's good looks. Soon, Gu Jingming stayed in the hotel in the capital of a nation, which was specially used to receive leaders from all over the world. Inside, Yu Minmin and Gu Jingming stayed in the presidential suite together. At that time, Yu Minmin thought that the president staying in the presidential suite was it was the first time. She did not tell this cold joke to Gu Jingming. She only snickered as she thought about it. When Gu Jingming found her, he saw her sitting there and smiling foolishly. She looked out of the window sideways, and her chest tightened. Looking at her from the side, the curve of her chest looked much better. Yu Minmin felt that something was wrong. When she looked up, she saw Gu Jingming looking at her. She had been caught secretly laughing. Yu Minmin quickly stopped smiling and said to him seriously, "What should I do tonight?" She was so happy at first, but now she was unhappy when she saw him. It seemed that this happiness had nothing to do with him, right? His face tensed up, and he said to her, "Are you asking me?" Of course, if she wasn't asking him, who was she asking? There were only the two of them here, okay? Yu Minmin said, "I've never been abroad before. Do you need me to do anything tonight? Otherwise, I won't be embarrassed if I don't know anything. Are you afraid of being embarrassed?" Of course she was afraid. There were so many media outlets, and it was her first time abroad. Actually, she rarely went abroad. She did not expect that when she finally did, it would be for a visit. She was afraid that others wouldn't believe her. However, Gu Jingming suddenly said, "If you're afraid of being embarrassed, come here." Yu Minmin said, "Huh?" She had been playing dumb so many times that Gu Jingming saw through her immediately. He curled his lips and said, "If you don't want to be embarrassed, bribe me first. If I'm happy, maybe I'll bring you along." Hey, how could he do that? Gu Jingming, if I'm embarrassed, I'll be embarrassing you. It's okay. I'm not afraid of you being embarrassed. At most, I'll just tell everyone that my wife has never been abroad before and doesn't understand. Everyone will only remember how embarrassed you were, and they will be more tolerant of me. They will think that I'm very tolerant of you, and that I love you very much. How could you embarrass yourself like this? Yu Minmin looked at him. Unwilling to give in, she said directly, "Forget it then. I'm used to being embarrassed anyway. I'll just say it tomorrow. My husband doesn't mind me being embarrassed. What's there to be afraid of? Isn't that enough?" Seeing that Yu Minmin was about to run, Gu Jingming immediately grabbed her waist. She wasn't even afraid of being embarrassed, but she was afraid of him. Chapter 643. Gu Jingming said, "Why are you running?" "No. I'm not running." Yu Minmin's entire body was struggling, but she still dared to say that she wasn't running. "Running? If you dare to run again, I'll let the whole world see how I beat you up tonight." "What?" Yu Minmin lowered her head, not understanding how he was going to let everyone see. Gu Jingming smiled wickedly, his eyes full of mockery. Then, he lowered his head and bit her neck. Yu Minmin's body trembled. She immediately realized what he was going to do. She wanted to push his arm away, but she was unable to do so. Her body was pushed down by him. Following that, there was still a sharp pain on her neck. It was obvious that it was drilling into her heart. After that, she felt him sucking on her neck, causing her body to stiffen completely. Needless to say, there must be a plum blossom blooming there. It was still on her neck. He loosened his grip a little, wanting to continue. She finally understood the meaning of his words. If she continued to plant them, she would really be too ashamed to face anyone tomorrow. Okay, I won't run anymore. I really won't run anymore. Yu Minmin quickly begged for mercy. Gu Jingming then let go of her, satisfied. He looked down at her face and said softly, "Come, open your mouth." Yu Minmin's face turned red. Gu Jingming frowned. Be good. Be good. Open your mouth." Yu Minmin didn't dare to look at him. She opened her mouth slightly. He looked at her, satisfied. Looking at her rosy lips, he couldn't hold back anymore. He lowered his head and pressed her down. Then, he bit her lips and they were entangled. Even though he was careful not to leave anything on her body, Yu Minmin still cried and begged for mercy that night. She cried for a long time before he finally let her go. Yu Minmin couldn't take it anymore. She lay there and fell asleep. The state banquet was a welcoming dinner that everyone attended after Gu Jingming met the other country's head of state. Yu Minmin didn't attend the official meeting. The two of them discussed some important matters and didn't bring any irrelevant people along. Yu Minmin saw his news on the computer. It showed that he was discussing border trade with the president of country A. The interview was very formal. Gu Jingming was as calm and composed as ever. His straight figure was not any weaker than the soldiers beside him, who were wearing military uniforms. He made people feel safe just by looking at him. This upright appearance was completely different from when he was in bed at night. Yu Minmin felt that she was a masochist. Otherwise, why would she feel that Gu Jingming was so handsome on TV? She was clearly scared to death whenever she saw him. However, compared with all kinds of politicians, Gu Jingming was indeed unique. Moreover, he definitely stood out from the crowd. There was no ambiguity at all. Looking at the other party's president and the officials next to him, no wonder Gu Jingming was the most popular president. Because he was really a weirdo among the politicians. As he watched, a guard suddenly walked in from outside. "Madam, it's time to attend the banquet." Yu Minmin hurriedly went out to tidy herself up. In order to cover her neck, she had to choose a scarf to wear. There were many people at the welcome banquet. There were all kinds of staff around and the media was not allowed to come in. Linda brought Yu Minmin into the banquet. As they walked, she said to Yu Minmin, "You can sit with Mr. President later. Don't worry, we won't talk about national affairs at the banquet like usual, so you can talk without worry." "Okay, I got it," Yu Minmin said. Before entering, Yu Minmin stood at the door and waited for a while. She took a deep breath. The woman on the side seemed to be from country A. Because country C was visiting, no one had brought a woman with them except her. Chapter 644. He was dressed in a dark gray suit. His broad shoulders made him look very dashing, as if the suit could be hung on his body. When he walked over, there was a hint of mist in his clear eyes. Even though he looked calm and composed, Yu Minmin could see that there was a hint of arrogance hidden in his eyes. He was a man with the surname Gu after all. He was destined to be different from others. The girls on both sides saw Gu Jingming's penetrating gaze and looked straight at them. They could vaguely feel the domineering aura in his eyes as he floated over. The two of them immediately became lively. Their emotions were overflowing with excitement, and their eyes seemed to be on fire as they stared in that direction. "Wow, he's really here. Oh my God, we're so lucky. Let's go over." The girl didn't forget to look back at Yu Minmin. She seemed to be afraid that she would cause trouble, so she looked at Yu Minmin warily. "Hey, you better take a good look at your identity. We're in country A, and you can't afford to offend us. You should have heard of us, but I don't think I've seen you before. This is probably your first time attending such a banquet. Don't provoke us, or else you'll be in trouble." The other girl snorted. The two of them were about to walk forward when they saw Gu Jingming walking over. His eyes were fixed on one of the girls. The girl blushed shyly and her heart raced. It was obvious that her eyes were overflowing with passion. Mr. President, hello." Gu Jingming really spoke to them. The two of them looked as if they were about to melt. They were extremely excited. However, Gu Jingming only glanced at them before he walked over to Yu Minmin. The two girls looked at him in surprise. Gu Jingming held Yu Minmin's hand. The two girls were stunned. Gu Jingming looked at Yu Minmin and sized her up. Yu Minmin lowered her head and greeted him, "Mr. President?" He raised his eyebrows and said calmly, The two girls behind saw them talking. One of them couldn't believe that Gu Jingming would be interested in this girl. She walked over unwillingly and said, "Mr. President, you probably don't know who I am. In a country, all the electrical equipment is provided by my family. My father admires you very much, so he asked me to come and talk to you. She looked at Yu Minmin viciously again and said, I don't know where this person came from. I've never seen her in country A. Don't you think that she's definitely not outstanding in terms of looks? You have to take a good look. Hearing that, Gu Jingming said directly, indeed, she is not outstanding. He looked at Yu Minmin and said, but in comparison, I think she is more beautiful. What he meant was that if Yu Minmin wasn't outstanding, the two of them wouldn't even be able to compare to him. How vicious. Although Yu Minmin was about to vomit blood, he couldn't help but exclaim in his heart that it was impressive. The faces of the two women on the side collapsed together, like a deflated balloon, one more dispirited than the other, but looking at Yu Minmin, they were very unhappy. Gu Jingming couldn't be bothered with the two of them. He looked at Yu Minmin, who seemed to be to his liking. He put his arm around her and said, let's go. Can we talk about it in detail over there? Yu Minmin wanted to laugh. She turned back to look at the two of them and quickly walked forward with Gu Jingming. The two women were about to vomit blood in anger. It couldn't be. Did President Gu take her away? How could he like her and say that she was better than the two of them? At the side, Linda also looked at the two of them. She snorted and raised her proud face. She had the right to be proud. She was Gu Jingming's Secretary General. In Sea Country, apart from Gu Jingming, she didn't need to listen to anyone else. She immediately ordered the bodyguard beside her. When the president's wife came in just now, you didn't follow her. You scared her. Let's see how Mr. President will punish you. I'm sorry, Miss Linda. It's our fault. The bodyguard quickly lowered his head and apologized. The two women's faces contorted in fear when they heard this. It couldn't be. That was the president's wife? A complex expression of jealousy, hatred, and fear appeared on the faces of the two people. This woman was said to be a commoner, but she was lucky enough to be by Gu Jingming's side. This was too unfair. It was the first time that Yu Minmin attended a state banquet with Gu Jingming. In front of her was the president of a country. He smiled and nodded at Yu Minmin, shook her hand and chatted. In the past, Yu Minmin had only seen this person on TV. She thought to herself, this isn't the news broadcast, but it's better than the news broadcast. At the same time, she squeezed her hand to keep herself awake. Just like that, she finally made it through the banquet. However, she saw that Gu Jingming had maintained his perfect posture from the beginning to the end. She couldn't help but admire him even more. He wasn't an ordinary person. He was so busy, but he didn't even have a hair out of place. As expected of a natural-born king sovereign. They returned to the suite. At home, Mama, you called her. She said excitedly, we saw you on television. Yu Minmin said tiredly, really? Yu Chengcheng quickly continued, sister, you're so awesome. You look like the mother of the country just standing there. My classmates were just saying, when are you going to give them an autograph? Go, go, go. Give the phone to Mom. Isn't that right, sister? Tell me, will you give me an autograph? I've boasted so much. You have to give me one. Forget it. If you don't give it to me, I'm hanging up. I'm busy. The phone was picked up by her mother again. She reminded Yu Minmin to be careful and not cause any trouble. After all, this was a national affair. Yu Minmin also knew that she had to be careful. She leaned against the wall and watched for a long time, but Gu Jingming didn't come back. She wanted to ask where he had gone, but she didn't want to go out and ask. She was worried that she would ask the wrong question. But she didn't know that outside. Gu Jingming really didn't go back to his room. He just received a call from Insuya outside. Insuya said over the phone, I saw your news today. Yeah. Remember to be careful outside? Yeah. Also, I have a gift for you. I hope you can bring it with you at all times. Her voice was a little shy. I asked Miss Linda to send it to you. Remember to bring it. Yeah, I already got it. Insuya hung up the phone with satisfaction. But in her heart, she was thinking, don't blame me, Jingming. I don't want to give you to Xiaoai, but I want Yu Minmin to know that you're not hers yet. She can't dominate you. When Gu Jingming opened a door, he saw a woman standing there, looking at him. This person looked a little familiar. Mr. President, don't you remember me? I'm Amy. I used to attend classes with Suya. I also went to the riding club. Oh? Hello, Gu Jingming said. Chapter 645. Amy smiled at him as she said, oh yeah, Suya asked me to bring her gift when she heard that I was coming. Did you see it? Yes, I've already seen it. Thank you. Gu Jingming still maintained his meticulous smile. No one could see anything wrong with him. Amy stared at him for a long time, but she couldn't tell if he had a good impression of her. She could only sigh in her heart. As expected of someone who could become the president. He hid his emotion so well that it was hard to guess. Just then, Linda came over and smiled politely at Amy. She whispered to Gu Jingming, "Madam is going to rest." "Okay." He nodded at Amy and went out. "Madam? Mrs. President?" Amy suspected that Yu Minmin had called Gu Jingming at this time because he knew she was here and he didn't want Gu Jingming to get close to other women. That night, Gu Jingming didn't bother Yu Minmin again. Yu Minmin had a good night's sleep. The next day, Gu Jingming continued his trip to visit some garden. Yu Minmin tagged along. However, today's activities were more casual. Yu Minmin watched from behind. There were many beautiful scenery in the garden, but there were also many beautiful buildings. There were also many kinds of birds that were chirping nonstop. Yu Minmin thought that the birds were very beautiful. She stopped and slowly left the group in front. By the time she realized it, it was already too late. "Oh, you're so far away." Gu Jingming didn't say anything to her and just left. Yu Minmin quickly followed him. "Madam President?" Amy found Yu Minmin at that moment. Yu Minmin saw a well-dressed woman standing in front of her, eyebrows raised as she sized her up. Yu Minmin said, "You called me." Amy said, "I knew that Suya was outshone by you. Ever since you became the president's madam, I've been wondering what kind of person you are." "Suya? In Suya?" Yu Minmin stopped. She really couldn't go anywhere without In Suya. Yu Minmin said, "What do you want?" Amy said, "I know that you became the president's wife because of political needs. It must be hard for someone like you to force your way into a life you've never experienced before." She approached Yu Minmin step by step. Her chin was slightly raised, showing her arrogance. She looked at Yu Minmin with disdain. There was no need to say anything else. If you want Mr. President to be the only woman in his life, it's basically impossible. I'm just here to advise you. Sometimes, you have to open one eye and close one eye to last. She walked around Yu Minmin, and the sound of her high heels was clear and cold. It's impossible for Mr. President to like you, and it's impossible for him to stand on your side. Not to mention that you're not as good as Suya. Even if you're more beautiful and rich than Suya, you can't compare to the feelings between Mr. President and her. What's more, you're not as good as Suya. Yu Minmin looked at her. "What exactly do you mean?" "You should know better than me what I mean, right?" "Sorry, I really don't know." Amy lifted Yu Minmin's chin and said provocatively, "Stop playing tricks with me and using those childish tricks. Today, Gu Jingming is mine." "Huh, what?" Without waiting for Yu Minmin to say anything, Amy walked forward. It was Gu Jingming's lunch break. He turned his head but didn't see Yu Minmin. This little woman walked far away from him. He raised his head and asked Linda, "Where did Yu Minmin go?" Linda quickly said, "I'll go look for Madam." He leaned there and grunted. He waved for her to go look for him. Then, he pinched the space between his brows and leaned back in his chair. A fragrance wafted over. It was a little familiar. He suddenly remembered that it was the perfume that In Suya often used. He opened his eyes in an instant. Her wriggling hand stretched over like a soft hand. "Mr. President, you should rest. You've been tired all day. Let me massage your shoulders for you." He frowned and raised his head. He saw that Amy's gaze was deeply suggestive. She put on her dark blue contact lenses. Coupled with the makeup on her face, she looked very seductive. Her red lips were very delicate. Every line on her lips was perfectly outlined. She had specially rushed over to look at Gu Jingming. Even if it wasn't for the fact that her family still needed Gu Jingming to pass the customs, she would be willing to sacrifice herself for him as she looked at this powerful face. No wonder In Suya's heart ached so much. Such a man must be unwilling to give up to a woman like Yu Minmin. Her almost greedy gaze was fixed on his face. She wanted to restrain herself and make herself look innocent, but she couldn't control her excitement. Her hands pinched his strong shoulders. However, before she could touch his exposed skin, her hand was suddenly grabbed by him. He narrowed his eyes and bent his hand. Her arm was pinched painfully because of his seemingly small strength. Ouch! Gu Jingming felt dizzy and a little uncomfortable. When he touched her hand, he felt something in his heart. He was puzzled for a moment. Could it be that there was something wrong with the perfume on her body? Gu Jingming directly threw her to the ground. The woman fell there and looked up unwillingly. "Mr. President, you..." Gu Jingming looked at her. "Get out." However, his eyes were a little unfocused. It seemed that he was not in good spirits. Seeing this, Amy's eyes lit up. She quickly said, "Mr. President, I just want to serve you." He looked at her. "I know you. You're from the IPLO Corporation, right?" Amy's eyes changed. She knew that as smart as he was, he should have known that she had an ulterior motive. She could only change her strategy and reveal a little of her tender white flesh. Her seductive gaze became even more heated. "Mr. President, you're right. I did approach you with an ulterior motive. My family needs to go through customs, but we've offended the National Security Bureau, so I would like to ask for your help. However, these are all other things. The moment I saw you, I was captivated by you. I'm willing to serve you, and I'll keep it absolutely confidential. I won't cause you any trouble." Gu Jingming couldn't help but laugh. "Serve me? Do you think you're qualified?" Amy pressed her finger to her lips and looked at Gu Jingming. "Whether I'm qualified or not depends on how you see it." She leaned forward more and more, her chest almost directly facing his direction. However, at this moment, Linda knocked on the door from outside. "Sir, we found something wrong with Madam. She was tied up outside the garden." Chapter 646. Gu Jingming narrowed his eyes. His eyes were filled with anger as he lowered his head and looked at Amy. Amy was startled. Her eyes darted around quickly as if she was trying to find an excuse. However, she had already revealed that she was involved in this matter. Gu Jingming strode out. Although he looked steady, he was actually walking very fast. In an instant, he seemed to have disappeared by the door. Amy heaved a sigh of relief. Just now, in order to prevent Yu Minmin from causing trouble, she had purposely locked Yu Minmin up. Unexpectedly, she was found by the bodyguard so quickly. Amy didn't know that ever since Yu Minmin was almost raped, she had put a tracking device on her phone and earrings. If she suddenly disappeared, the bodyguards would be able to track her location. Therefore, when the bodyguards found out that Yu Minmin was missing, they went straight to where she was tied up. Yu Minmin was still patting herself repeatedly when she saw the bodyguards coming in. As soon as Gu Jingming walked in, a lot of people followed him in a flurry. Yu Minmin's mouth was covered and the president of country A was shocked. "Send Madam to the hospital for a checkup." Then, all the security measures were taken. Yu Minmin was checked in the hospital and then she was sent to the president's palace to rest. The security was doubled and they started to investigate the reason for Yu Minmin's arrest. Because they were worried that it would involve too many people, the incident was kept under wraps. However, most of the upper class in country C still knew about it. Yin Suya didn't expect Amy to be so daring. Even at home, she was feeling uneasy. She only hoped that Amy wouldn't be so stupid as to expose her. However, Yu Minmin was the mother of the country. She was receiving the best treatment, which made Yin Suya feel uneasy. These damned bodyguards of the president were protecting her so strictly. She was just a commoner after all. The incident had not come to an end yet. Gu Jingming had already sent someone to check. The incense he smelled was a gift from Yin Suya. The incense had an aphrodisiac effect. It wasn't strong, but it was just enough to arouse one's desire. Linda looked at Gu Jingming, waiting for his answer. Gu Jingming stood there for a long time. Finally, he said, "We'll make a decision when we get back to country C." "Yes, sir." Lin Che rested well. It was already the second day in Los Angeles. They met up with the relevant personnel and discussed the setting of the characters, as well as the filming issues. The filming period was not fixed, but it was usually 3 months. During the filming, Lin Che had to stay in Los Angeles for a while. The other party was very happy to be able to work with Lin Che. The foreigner who had gone to China for the audition was a Dutch immigrant with blonde hair and blue eyes. He was born in Los Angeles and his name was George. Lin Che knew that these names were very common overseas, just like the flowers and grass in China. Lin Che had already gotten to know 2 Georges in just one day on set. Along the way, George introduced Lin Che. The director was the internationally renowned director Steven, and he praised Lin Che greatly. "But the requirement here is that you must speak in English. It's best if you can speak it yourself, but if your accent is too strong, we will dub it in the post-production. But the mouth shapes must be in English." Lin Che was stunned for a moment, but he still agreed. "Then I'm afraid I'll have to learn it now." Because of this, the director was not very friendly towards Lin Che. He felt that since Lin Che could not speak English, he needed to see how the female lead would develop in the future. Whether or not she could continue acting was still a matter of discussion. After parting with the director, Lin Che could clearly feel his attitude. George said, "All right, you don't have to worry too much. Steven has high expectations, but he has never seen your acting skills. You can use your acting skills to win him over." Lin Che thanked him. "I'll work hard to learn English." "All right, I believe you. If you need a teacher, I can help you contact one. I'll look around myself later. If I need any help, I'll definitely look for you." After returning to the hotel room, Lin Che searched for English textbooks on the internet gloomily. But she realized that she had really forgotten all about English. There were not many that she could recite. She sighed dejectedly. Leaning against the wall, she texted Gu Jingza. "I want to learn English. It's terrible." "Go ahead, I can teach you," Gu Jingza said. Lin Che said, "No, I want to find a teacher myself." You have such a bad temper, you'll definitely scold me. With your IQ, are you sure a normal teacher can teach you? Get lost. It was the first time that Lin Che was so far away from him. It didn't feel like they were in China. Even if they were filming overseas, it would only take him 2 hours to get there. This place was separated by an ocean. It felt as if they were so far away from each other. Lin Che leaned against the wall, feeling as if he was missing him. Thinking of this, Lin Che suddenly said, "Oh yeah, do you have a QQ or something?" "No." "Why don't you do it?" "No." Seeing that he rejected her directly, Lin Che changed her tone and said, "Just one? Just one? I don't have time to do a video call." "Video call?" Gu Jingze asked. Lin Che said, Yeah, nothing with you. Don't you like to have video conferences with those people? That's weird. Since you don't have a QQ, how do you have meetings?" "I use turbo conferencing." "Huh? What's that?" "A special software for video conferences." "Okay." The CEO would definitely use high-end professional software. She was really silly to think that they used QQ for meetings. Lin Che said, "Next. Isn't it better if you go next?" After a while, Gu Jingze finally sent a message, "I'm done." Hearing this, Lin Che jumped up and said, "That's great." She gave him a number and asked him to add her as a friend. Then, she opened the video call. Gu Jingze was very used to this kind of video call. He frowned unhappily and said, "It's not HD." Lin Che said, "Aya, you're pretty smart. You learned it so quickly. How did you find the place to download QQ?" "I got the secretary to download it." Lin Che thought that the secretary must have been very surprised that the CEO wanted to download QQ. Lin Che could almost see the disbelief on the secretary's face. Lin Che looked at Gu Jingze's face. The soft light shone on his face. His handsome face didn't seem to have any flaws on the screen. Looking at her, her face looked so big and ugly in the video call. Lin Che thought to himself, God is so unfair. Why did Gu Jingze have to be so perfect? Chapter 647. However, as she gazed at his face, she couldn't help but sigh in admiration. This was her man. He was so perfect. Gu Jingze looked at her and reminded her helplessly, "Keep your saliva to yourself." Lin Che stared blankly for a moment, but then he remembered that he wasn't by his side right now, so he might as well tease him a little. He stretched out 5 fingers and said, No. Little bro, your lord has plenty of money. Come, help me take off my clothes." Gu Jingze's face darkened. Lin Che winked. Come on. Tell me, how much is it?" Gu Jingze looked at her speechlessly. "Do you really want me to take off my clothes?" "Ah? It's free. If you want to see, I'll let you see. But you have to take off one for me. How about that?" The CEO really knew how to play. It was his first time playing a video game and he already knew how to play. Lin Che waved his hands hurriedly and said, No. I won't look. But I've already taken off my clothes." As Gu Jingze spoke, he moved the phone forward a little. Then, on the screen, the sexy man slowly reached out his hand and unbuttoned one of his buttons. Even through the screen, she seemed to be able to feel the lines of his muscles. They bulged with the curve of his muscles, giving her an unusual sense of beauty. The next button was undone. The outline of his muscles was completely revealed, and even a little bit was exposed. He deliberately slowed down the spurting of blood. Lin Che felt that his blood vessels were swelling. Her eyes were glued to him. She felt that Gu Jingze was a natural stunner. He was so attractive that she couldn't control herself. Wasn't he a reincarnated demon? That simple action was enough to make people sigh. Lin Che couldn't help but shout, Okay. Don't take it off." Lin Che was really infatuated. If it was really in front of her, she would have pounced on him without a care and pressed him down on the bed. But now, she could only watch him fiddle with it through the screen. She shouldn't have mentioned chatting. She was torturing herself. Okay. I was wrong. Don't take it off." Lin Che waved his hands and said. Gu Jingze smiled at her. "What's wrong? Your face is so red? Do you miss me?" "Yes, I want him, I want to touch him, I want to ride him, I want to possess him completely." That's what any woman would think when they saw his sexy movements. In front of him, she had always been the passive one, because he was usually too strong, and she had always been the one being pressed down. Besides, even if she really wanted to suppress him, it would depend on whether he dared to. Every time he pushed her, she was already very shy. How could she think of anything else? But now that they were separated by a screen, it was different. Her thoughts were much bolder and more straightforward. She just wanted him. She really wanted him. Lin Che's face was red and he didn't say anything. Gu Jingze lowered his voice, making it even more mesmerizing. Tell me, is it because of? Lin Che lowered his head. No. Gu Jingze shook his head and looked at her face through the screen. That mesmerizing gaze. Even though they were separated by such a long distance, she seemed to be able to feel it. It was as though he was drilling into her heart and looking directly at her. After a long time, he lightly spat out a few words. But I missed you. But I missed you. Lin Che's body froze. She raised her head and looked at Gu Jingze's focused face. Hearing his words, she felt so touched that she couldn't control herself. This Gu Jingze was too good at flirting. First, she couldn't control herself, and then he suddenly said such touching words. Lin Che felt that if she didn't have a big heart, she would have died from his sweetness. What a demon. She pursed her lips. She was still thinking if she should say that she missed him, when she suddenly heard a loud voice from behind. Sis Che, you're not asleep yet, right? Director Steven came to look for you just now. Ah, Lin Che remembered. For convenience's sake, she gave the room card to her colleague. Now, that person came straight in. Lin Che's computer was still playing the seductive image of Gu Jingze standing there with his upper body naked. She was stunned for a moment, then quickly closed the computer. However, when she turned around, she saw that her colleague was standing there in a daze. His eyes were fixed on her computer, looking ahead like a wooden person. She must have seen something. Oh my God, her innocence was ruined by Gu Jingze just like that. Of course, it was also her fault for not taking precautions against this. The female assistant who came in was new. She cried out in surprise when she saw Lin Che. She immediately came to her senses and ran over. Heavens, Sis Che, did I see wrongly just now? Why is there a naked man? Naked man, Lin Che was so flustered that her mouth was knotted. You saw wrongly. That's right, you saw wrongly. How is that possible? Did I really see wrongly? Sis Che, don't lie to me. Look at how red your face is. You must be video chatting with someone. Heavens, Sis Che, is that your boyfriend? Why are you video chatting naked? This is too explosive. Lin Che hurriedly covered her mouth. All right. Grandaunt, stop shouting. At this moment, what was even more shocking was that a few staff members came in one after another from behind. They heard the commotion and hurried in to see what was going on. When they heard the female assistant talking about a naked man, everyone's interest was piqued. They called out the moment they came in, no way, Sis Che. Are you having sex with your boyfriend? Sis Che, who is it? Introduce him to us. We're all friends, yet you're still keeping it a secret? That's right, Xiaohua. Quick, tell us. Did you see who it was? Do we know each other? Everyone started to question Little Flower. Xiaohua laughed, saying, I didn't see who it was clearly. TSK, what a killjoy. Where's your usual good eyesight? Why didn't you use it at a time like this? But I saw him. He's so handsome. He's such a handsome person. Wow, really? But of course. How can Sis Che's boyfriend not be handsome? His figure is super good. I could see his inverted triangle from afar. A pity I didn't get a good look and Sis Che buttoned it up. The few of them immediately turned around to look at Lin Che with smiles on their faces. Lin Che hurriedly begged for mercy. You guys, that's enough. I won't say anything. You guys aren't allowed to say anything either. Go back and pretend this never happened. How is that possible? Sis Che, hurry up and tell us who it is. All right. Let's go out. Let's go out together. Are you done with work? You guys can tell us. If they found out that the person inside was Gu Jingze, she was having sex with Gu Jingze, wouldn't that be even more explosive? She couldn't imagine what it would be like if the news reported that Gu Jingze was seen naked. Everyone's jaws would probably drop. Chapter 648. Lin Che was speechless at the thought of it. She hurriedly asked everyone to go out and talk about work. The assistant said, Mr. Steven just called. He said that there's a gentleman who admires Country C's culture. It's rare for Sister Che to come to Los Angeles, so he hopes to invite you over to learn more about it. Lin Che knew that many foreigners admired Country C's culture and were curious about it, so she nodded in agreement. Steven got someone to pick Lin Che up. Lin Che brought a translator and an assistant with her. They went to a bar, an American country bar. It looked very casual. Inside, Steven saw that Lin Che had arrived and his attitude was much better than in the day. He said to her, This is a Hollywood tycoon, Mr. Henry. Hello, Lin Che said with a smile. The other party looked at Lin Che and exclaimed, Miss Lin has the characteristics of Country C. You're very pretty. Actually, there are many immigrants from Country C in America. Because America is a big family, it's different from other countries. This is a global village, so when I saw Miss Lin, I knew that with Miss Lin as the lead, the box office wouldn't be a problem, be it in Country C or Hollywood. Lin Che smiled and thanked him. After sitting down, because of the language barrier, she couldn't say much. She could only listen to the other party talk while the translator translated. She just nodded. Steven said, Mr. Henry's mansion is in the luxury area behind Hollywood. You might know that place, Beverly Hills. Many Hollywood superstars live there and it's very famous. The translator purposely whispered in Lin Che's ear, that place is indeed very famous. Really? There are no slums there, only rich villas. It's flourishing because of Hollywood. The location is very good. Sister Che, you can consider going there for a look. You might even bump into a superstar while walking. Lin Che said, really? That's great. However, as they sat, Lin Che felt that the man was starting to get all touchy with her. At first, Lin Che didn't dare to think in that direction because foreign countries were more open. Their actions might be more intimate and uncomfortable, but it was normal for them. However, it wasn't normal for a man to put his hand on a woman's exposed leg. Lin Che stood up immediately. The other party looked at her, a little surprised. Lin Che said, it's nothing. It's just that Mr. Henry might think that I'm someone he knows. I'd better sit closer. Lin Che purposely made it clear, and his rejection was clear enough. Having been in the entertainment industry for so long, Lin Che knew that if he didn't reject the unspoken rules clearly, it would be more dangerous. It was better to just say it out directly. The other party was indeed stunned, but when he looked at Lin Che, he shrugged. Lin Che smiled, I'm sorry, it's my first time here, so I'm not too familiar with the customs here. However, the people of C are more conservative, so I hope everyone doesn't mind. Steven looked at her meaningfully. He smiled and wanted to light his cigarette, but he felt that something was wrong and put it down. He said, I'm sorry, I almost wanted to light my cigarette. I have to respect a lady, so I won't. Miss Lin, it's okay. You can sit beside me. Steven had heard that some actors in Country C would do anything to get a role. This also happened here, but it wouldn't happen in an obvious location. But, in order to get into Hollywood, some actors from Country C might not care about this and might even take the initiative to approach them. However, Lin Che had obviously rejected it. This surprised him a lot, and he admired her a lot. Hearing this, Lin Che looked at him gratefully. She knew that he meant that as long as she rejected it, it would be okay. He would guarantee that she wouldn't encounter any problems. Luckily, Mr. Henry saw that she didn't mean it, and Steven seemed to be very firm, so he didn't mention it again. Anyway, if she couldn't accept it, then so be it. There weren't many women, so there was no need to force it. If he really admired her, there were many ways to move her. He didn't have to get angry or force it here. After talking for a while, Lin Che wanted to find some water, so she got up first. The translator and assistant quickly followed. The translator said, luckily, they won't force it in public. Otherwise, it would be really troublesome. Lin Che sighed, forget it. I warned him, but he didn't react. Forget it. Actually, Lin Che rarely encountered such things in China, because she basically refused all social engagements. She wouldn't show up for ordinary social engagements. She would only go to the rap party and the cruise gathering. The time when she really met with the unspoken rules was when she hadn't become famous yet. So, she didn't know how to react just now. But at this moment, a woman's slap came straight at him. Lin Che covered his face in shock. He saw a blonde woman in front of him. Her hair hung loosely on one side, and the other side revealed her slender and fair neck. She was obviously a very fair Caucasian. She had exquisite makeup on her face, and she looked very gentle, but her expression was very fierce. She said directly, you're the little woman that Henry found, right? Ha, people from C, his taste is really changeable. After the translator translated for Lin Che understood immediately and said quickly, you've got the wrong person. This is my first time meeting Mr. Henry. But the translator was a little too slow. Before the translator finished translating, she had already slapped him again. This time, Lin Che wasn't in a daze, so he went up and started to fight with the woman. Ah, let go of me. Fuck, did you understand what I said? How dare you hit me? Lin Che shouted. He was not one to be outdone, and he was never afraid of others in a fight. The other party looked fierce as well. She didn't expect Lin Che to fight back directly. But after knowing, she grabbed onto Lin Che and didn't let go. She encouraged him, how dare you come to Los Angeles and behave atrociously? Do you really think that the hegemon of C country can come here? I don't care what kind of star you are in C country. If you dare to hook up with Henry here, I'll beat you to death. You'll never get a role in Hollywood again. the assistant and translator saw this and hurriedly came to help, breaking free from the blonde woman. The blonde woman was anxious. She picked up a candlestick at the side and hit Lin Che. Lin Che grabbed the candlestick, and after a few moves, he lifted it up. The candlestick hit the woman's face. Blood flowed from her face. The woman was stunned. The candlestick fell to the ground. She took a few steps back and looked at the blood on her hand. "Ah, my face, my face." She couldn't help but scream. Lin Che covered his mouth. He didn't expect to hit her like this, but she was really defending herself just now. Who told her to pick up the candlestick and hit her? If she didn't fight back, the one with blood on her face would be her. Chapter 649. Just then, the commotion had attracted everyone's attention. The bar security had rushed over and someone had called 911 to report the incident. Henry rushed over. When he saw the scene, he clutched his head in pain. "Ma Dairue, what happened to you? What happened to your face?" She crawled over to him, crying. Henry quickly lowered his head and picked her up. Stephen was stunned. He asked frantically, "What's going on?" "What's going on?" Lin Che said. She and I, the interpreter at the side quickly went over to explain. By the time Stephen finished listening, Henry had already left with the girl in his arms. The police arrived immediately and brought them to the nearby police station. Stephen spread his hands and said, "Lin, you're in big trouble now." Lin Che said curiously, "Why?" "I don't know what happened. She was the one who started it. I was just defending myself. If it's possible, take a look at the surveillance footage and you'll know everything." Stephen said, "That's not what I meant. I know it's not your problem today, but she's Henry's most beloved woman. He won't let this go easily. Henry controls almost half of Hollywood's assets. Our lives will only be difficult from now on. He also controls the Screen Actors Guild. Perhaps he has the final say on whether we can use you or not. You have to get the approval of the Screen Actors Guild before we can sign the contract." Now, did this mean that she had really offended a tycoon, and this tycoon could control her fate here? How could it be so coincidental? How could it be so tragic? Lin Che didn't expect Henry to be such a powerful person. To be able to control half of Hollywood, his status must be extraordinary. She was unfamiliar with Hollywood, so naturally, she didn't know anything. This was her first time here and she had already offended such a powerful person. Should she feel lucky? She had just arrived and she had already met a tycoon like Henry. In Country C. It was morning. Sister Lin smiled at Qin Wanwan and said, "The people there have already informed me that Lin Che is done for." Qin Wanwan said, "What? Is it done?" "That's right. You sent someone to inform Henry's little lover." She really fell for it and got jealous. She thought that Henry found another lover, so she started fighting with Lin Che. Her reputation as a shrew is not false at all. She had a great time fighting with Lin Che. Now that Lin Che has smashed her head, I'm afraid her Hollywood journey will end before it even starts. Qin Wanwan's dainty face was smeared with malice. Her face had recently been modified and looked more and more perfect. She didn't look like an ordinary person anymore and seemed a lot more fierce. She looked a little fake, but it didn't matter. On TV, she should appear much gentler than in real life and wouldn't look so fake. She was furious that Lin Che had gone to Hollywood and received the film adaptation of the novel Blood, which was a global hit. In recent years, many celebrities had said that they wanted to break into Hollywood, but none of them were as lucky as her to receive such a good film. Qin Wanwan also tried to go, but when she saw that she could only play a small role and might not even show her face, she immediately backed down. However, Lin Che's luck was too good. It must be because she had been too low-key recently, so when Blood came to China to choose a role, no one thought of her, not even once. It was really embarrassing. The whole company even said that they let Lin Che go, but Lin Che became even more popular and Qin Wanwan almost got a role. The company really suffered a big loss. Humph, she wouldn't let Lin Che be so lucky. Did he think that Hollywood was easy? She had gone abroad a few times and had a preliminary understanding of the place. However, Lin Che had never gone abroad, so it was not easy for him to fool her. So what if he gets Blood? I can make it so that she can't act. I want to see what the media will write when she comes back with her face covered in dirt. Sister Lin looked at the expression on her face. After the plastic surgery, her face was really getting sharper and sharper. Sister Lin felt a little scared just looking at her. This Qin Wanwan was too ruthless. She was so ruthless that people couldn't control themselves. Lin Che was a little depressed recently. There were still rumors in China that her acting was not as good as Mu Fearon's, and people were scolding her for stealing roles. Then, something happened in Hollywood. With Stephen's help, it was quickly settled at the police station. Stephen asked her, I heard that you're close with Mr. Eric. Why don't you try to ask him to help? Maybe he knows Mr. Henry. I've actually only met Mr. Eric a few times. His daughter likes me a lot. It's better not to disturb him. I'll take a look first. Maybe Mr. Henry isn't as scary as you said. Stephen shrugged. I won't comment on this. Lin Che felt that she was so stressed that she lost her appetite. She just wanted to vomit. She finally managed to hold it in and walk to a ventilated place. She felt much better after some ventilation. Just then, her phone rang. She looked down and saw that it was Gu Jingze. She squeezed her hands and decided not to answer it for now. She had just arrived and she was already causing trouble. She felt ashamed. Especially ashamed to see Gu Jingze. Seeing that she didn't answer the phone, Gu Jingze paused and looked at the time. She should still be resting, so he didn't call her again. Just then, Qin Hao suddenly said, Sir, Miss Mo is here. I won't see her. I told you that you won't see her, but Miss Mo said that regarding the child isn't mine. I won't see her. But Miss Mo said that she's willing to consider aborting the child. Gu Jingze stood there in silence for a long time. Okay, let her in. After Mo Huiling came in, she looked at Gu Jingze who was sitting in the middle and said, If I abort the child, what compensation will you give me? Gu Jingze stared at her and took a deep breath. What do you want? Mo Huiling snorted. I want you to accompany me to the hospital for an abortion. I also want the 3 shopping malls that your mother mentioned. I know that this is a drop in the ocean for the Gu family, right? Gu Jingze took a deep breath. Why do you want me to accompany you to the abortion? Mo Huiling's tears streamed down her face. No matter what you say, I feel that the child is yours. I just want to stay with you a little longer. I don't have any other requests. I just want you to accompany me to the abortion. If you don't go, I won't abort the child no matter what. I can't accept this. I can't accept that I, a pure girl, got pregnant with a child and got nothing. You have to make it up to me. Hearing this, Gu Jingze thought for a moment and nodded. Okay, I'll accompany you. Let's go now. Chapter 650. Hearing that Gu Jingze actually agreed, Mo Huiling immediately raised her head. Her eyes were filled with tears, but she was also a little shocked. She didn't say she would go now. She said, wait. Did he really want her to abort the child so badly? Did he not miss her child at all? Was he not reluctant to part with it at all? Mo Huiling thought sadly. She raised her head. Her eyes were weak and she clasped her hands in front of her. Well, the doctor I made an appointment with can only do the operation next week. She wanted to stay with him for a while and get close to Gu Jingze with this purpose. Coincidentally, she heard that Lin Che had just gone to Los Angeles and Gu Jingze was alone at home. Gu Jingze said calmly, Oh, it's okay. I'll make an appointment with the doctor for you. Mo Huiling was about to hold his hand when she remembered that she couldn't touch him. She retracted her hand and said, I'm looking for the best doctor to operate on me. I won't just look for a random doctor. What if my body is ruined? This doctor is very busy and can only be available next week. Gu Jingze said, What's the name of the doctor you mentioned? Say it. Mo Huiling looked into his eyes and bit her lip. She had to say, It's Dr. Gu Chunlai. She's a top doctor in the gynecology and obstetrics department. She's been waiting in line for months. If it's not her, I won't look for anyone else. Okay, then come with me. What? Gu Jingze looked at her with a smile. Mo Huiling had no choice but to follow him. Gu Jingze took her with him. Mo Huiling saw that the car was really heading to a private hospital and her heart couldn't help beating fast. But she was sure that Gu Jingze wouldn't force her to have an abortion if she didn't want to. But why were they going to a private hospital now? She couldn't help thinking that he would ask his own doctor to persuade her to have an abortion. If that was the case, she would never agree. When they arrived, the doctor saw Gu Jingze and immediately led him and Mo Huiling up. Mr. Gu, everything is ready. Where's the doctor? Dr. Gu is here too, the doctor said respectfully with a smile. Mo Huiling was shocked. What was going on? Dr. Gu. Wasn't he the most difficult doctor to hire? Why would he? Gu Jingze turned around and said, Go in. Dr. Gu is waiting for you. No, you're lying, how could it be Dr. Gu? Mo Huiling said in a panic. Gu Jingze snorted. Why can't it be? Dr. Gu walked out of the room. Mo Huiling took a look. It really was her, Dr. Gu said, Miss Mo, you're here. Just in time. Come and have a checkup. You. Mo Huiling thought that she had miscalculated. The Gu family was not an ordinary family. It was much easier for them to hire a doctor than her. She had made an appointment with this Dr. Gu for such a long time. She didn't expect that the Gu family would ask her to come, and she would come directly. She had forgotten that Gu Jingze had his own abilities. Gu Jingze put his hands in the pockets of his windbreaker, his side profile expressionless. Mo Huiling had no choice but to hurry inside. Gu Jingze snorted. Seeing that Mo Huiling had gone in, he waved his hand and said to someone, "Go in and keep an eye on her." Mo Huiling lay on the bed. Seeing that Dr. Gu's attitude towards her had improved because of Gu Jingze, she couldn't help but curse in her heart. Even though the Mo family was not as wealthy as the Gu family, she was still the young mistress of the Mo family. This doctor's attitude had changed too much. "Miss Mo, I'm here to do an ultrasound. It's a little cold, please bear with it." She rubbed something cold and slippery on Mo Huiling's belly. Mo Huiling was unhappy no matter how she thought about it. No, she couldn't just let the baby go. She didn't intend to abort the baby in the first place. She just wanted to get close to Gu Jingze. Now that Gu Jingze was forcing her to have an abortion, she would definitely find an excuse. Her original plan was to drag it out for a week. Perhaps she could change Gu Jingze's attitude. If she couldn't change it, she would find an excuse. Anyway, she would never abort the baby. At this moment, she felt the ultrasound machine placed on her belly. It felt extremely uncomfortable. She pushed the doctor's hand away angrily. "Get lost. Who do you think you are? You're just a snob. How dare you touch my child? Do you know that I'm carrying the heir of the Gu family?" She harumphed, jumped down from the bed and ran out. "Hey, you!" The doctor was stunned. She snorted in her heart. If it wasn't for Gu Jingze, she wouldn't have come. However, she really didn't know that this woman was related to Gu Jingze. Otherwise, she wouldn't have acted so arrogantly. Seeing that the woman had run away, the doctor didn't dare to say anything and just let her go. Mo Huiling ran out of the room immediately. Gu Jingze grabbed Mo Huiling, who was running out of the room. Mo Huiling raised her head and said anxiously, "I'm sorry, Jingze. I still can't bear to abort our child. I can't do it." With that, she pushed the doctor away and ran out of the room again. A few bodyguards wanted to follow her, but Gu Jingze raised his hand to stop them. "Forget it." He turned around and said, "Let her go." He had already guessed that she was going to play tricks again, so he let her go. Outside, Mo Huiling turned around and looked at the hospital. She was a little vexed. She didn't expect Gu Jingze to be so wary of her. If he treated her even 1/10 as well as he treated Lin Che, then he wouldn't be like this. However, right now, in his heart, there was only that little slut, Lin Che. He really didn't know what that little slut had done to make him so loyal to her. He even treated her so well, to the point that he was jealous of her. But she couldn't come here for nothing. She took a photo of the hospital and Gu Jingze's car. She harumphed and thought, "Lin Che, oh Lin Che, you saw Gu Jingze accompanying me to the hospital. Do you really think that Gu Jingze treats you wholeheartedly?" She didn't believe that Gu Jingze and Lin Che were so close that there wouldn't be any misunderstandings. Lin Che, who was in Hollywood, was still in a terrible fix. Steven looked at Lin Che and said, "Now he has indeed started to say something to the actors' union. He asked the union to ask you to go back for abusing Asian actors and trying to occupy the Asian market without caring about the quality of the movie. He also wants to hurt the local actors' pay and ruin the market." Lin Che knew that when the people from Sea Country came here, they would rather ask for less pay in order to film a Hollywood movie. Hence, with low pay and high box office sales, it would bring in some investments. This kind of good thing naturally made the movie companies here very willing to use Asians. This would also affect the local actors' pay and pull down their pay. Their union had a lot of influence and authority. If Lin Che really offended the union, there would be no way to turn back. Chapter 651. Lin Che took a deep breath. Looking at Steven's helpless expression, she said, "I'll go and beg for mercy." After the translator translated her words, Steven said in surprise, "You're going to see Mr. Henry?" "That's right. It's my fault. I'll figure it out myself." No, it's not your fault. You went to see Henry because of me. Actually, Henry was curious about the celebrity we invited and wanted to see you. You don't have to go." "Why would I blame the director? You didn't know that something like this would happen to me." "Actually, I think it's because Mr. Henry's woman misunderstood me and hit me. That's why I couldn't help but fight back. But now that I'm under someone else's roof, I have to lower my head." Lin Che had always felt that she was a flexible person. Moreover, she had no choice but to give in now. Hearing this, Steven didn't say anything else. He just gave Lin Che the address he knew. Lin Che followed a translator to the place and looked around the famous rich district. It was indeed extraordinary. Lin Che had seen the Gu family's villa district many times and felt that this place was not bad. But the interpreter looked around in shock. These rich people really know how to enjoy life. It's so nice to be near a mountain and a river. Lin Che found the house number and went with the interpreter. The big iron gate in front of them was tightly shut. Lin Che knocked on the door and the old man inside came out to ask who they were. The interpreter quickly said the name. The old man looked at Lin Che and went in to report. Soon, he came out and said to Lin Che, "I won't see you. You can leave." Lin Che stood at the door and said, "Hey, why won't I see you? I hope you can tell Mr. Henry that no matter what, I shouldn't have hit that lady that day. I'm very sorry, so I'm here to apologize. I said I won't see you. If you dare to come in, we'll call the police and say that you're trespassing. I advise you to leave quickly. Otherwise, I'll let the dogs bite you later. Can you see the sign?" Humph. Lin Che glanced at the sign and said, "I hope you can continue to tell Mr. Henry that I'm here to sincerely apologize to him." The old man closed the door. The translator spat on the side and said, "This is outrageous. Isn't this bullying? They were the ones who attacked first. We were just defending ourselves." Lin Che said, "I was the same at that time. I didn't pay attention. Why did I hit her face? It would be fine if I hit her somewhere else, but if I hit her face, it would be too damaging for a woman. That's why I must have been very angry. Sis Che, let's go back if we can't do it. If the domestic media found out that you're here, they'd be surprised. You're a superstar, and your popularity is off the charts. No matter where you go, you'll be surrounded by people. Yet, you're here at the mercy of them?" Lin Che, on the other hand, didn't think it was a big deal. In another place, there was nothing comparable. However, she had experienced this kind of thing in China. Thinking about it, because she was with Gu Jingze helped her think of a lot of things. Over time, she became dependent on him. It had been a long time since she had dealt with something like this on her own. She found a seat and sat down. She patted the place and asked the translator to sit with her. "Let's take a break and wait for a while. Maybe there will be a turn for the better. Even if there isn't, let him see our sincerity." The translator watched as Lin Che found a rock and sat down. His expression was a little ugly. He couldn't help but feel even angrier. He felt that it was too pitiful for the great Lin Che to sit at someone else's door. Who was she? How could they treat her like this? However, the person inside was Henry, a Hollywood mogul. He shouldn't have any feelings for any actor, not to mention Lin Che, who was just a small-time actor in Country C, at the same time. Outside, the storm had already begun to surge again. In China, Smart Movies suddenly released a press release stating that Qin Wanwan was going to Hollywood for an audition for the role of Blood. Everyone was curious. Wasn't the actor for Blood already decided? It was Lin Che. Why did Qin Wanwan suddenly want to go? Smart Movies said that because the other party might change their roles, they wanted Qin Wanwan to go for an audition that night. There was a chance that she could replace Lin Che as the female lead of Blood. That day, Qin Wanwan was stopped by reporters at the airport. The reporters surrounded Qin Wanwan and asked, "Are you going to replace Lin Che? What happened to Lin Che in Hollywood? Why was he kicked out of the cast? Has the role been completely changed?" Qin Wanwan smiled and replied, "Sorry, I don't know anything about this. The company just informed me that there's a role for me. Because I'm a loyal reader of Blood, I accepted the role. I'm not too sure about Lin Che's situation. He's been quite busy since he started his own studio, so he doesn't really contact me." She evaded it very cleanly and even complained. She meant that Lin Che didn't want to be friends with her and didn't contact her anymore, so she didn't know anything. Of course, the reporters weren't willing to let her go and kept asking her what was going on. Qin Wanwan said, "I think Hollywood is a very professional place. I believe that they wouldn't choose a role randomly. They probably chose a role based on a professional perspective. I'm not too sure about anything else." She was saying that they must have chosen a role based on a professional perspective. She was implying that she was more suitable than Lin Che and that there was no other reason. After saying that, she got someone to send the reporters away and went to board the plane. After getting on the plane, she took out her phone and called Hollywood before the plane took off. Her English wasn't good either. She wanted to be an actress, so she didn't have the mood to learn English. She didn't even pass her cultural classes. Luckily, the person who pulled the strings over there spoke good Mandarin, so she spoke directly to him. This time, the person who pulled the strings directly helped her get in touch with Henry's lover, Mary. It was said that she was Henry's most beloved lover and the woman he loved the most. He was almost obedient to Mary. And this time, when Mary heard that it was her, she directly talked to Henry and got him to recommend her for the audition. Qin Wanwan thought smugly. So what if they had already chosen her? Wasn't she the one who got the role now? Lin Che couldn't win against her. Since she had already hooked up with Mary, Lin Che would go back to where he came from. Mary wouldn't let her survive in Hollywood. Lin Che was still waiting at the door. After waiting for a long time, he felt a little dizzy. The sun was a little strong. After all, this was Los Angeles, and the ultraviolet rays were strong. The translator couldn't help but take off his clothes to shade Lin Che from the sun. After all, Lin Che was a star. His skin was so fair that it made people's hearts ache. It wouldn't be good if he got tanned. Chapter 652. However, Lin Che didn't mind. He smiled at the translator and said, "It's fine. It's tiring for you to stand." The translator said, "It's fine. Sister Che, your skin is more important." Lin Che said, "All right, come down. I don't tan easily. It's because of my body." "Ah, really?" Lin Che picked up her phone and saw the WeChat voice message from Yu Minmin. She said, "Did you watch the news?" "What? Qin Wanwan went to Los Angeles. Why?" "Hollywood wants her to audition for your role. Right now, the news is saying that she might replace you." Lin Che really didn't know. He opened the news and took a quick glance at it before he found out about it. Yu Minmin said, "How are things on your side?" "I think they're worried about the delay since they're about to start filming, so they might not choose her. However, she was chosen because someone pulled some strings. I asked around and found out that she might be Henry's lover. Mary, the woman you hit, is related to her, so I can't help but suspect that she has something to do with your accident." Qin Wanwan really treated her as an imaginary enemy. Every time she had something to do, Qin Wanwan wanted to get involved. "Mary? I heard people call her Mary. Maybe it's her nickname." Sigh, Qin Wanwan is capable to be able to hold hands with her. What else can I say? Everyone relies on their own abilities to survive in this industry. All right, come back if you can't do it. We don't have to worry about not having any shows anyway. "Yeah, aren't you still doing an interview?" "I'll be back soon." Lin Che told her not to worry. "I can't hold up your national affairs," Lin Che said with a smile. Yu Minmin said, "Forget it. Our business is about making money. Compared to that, an interview is nothing." "Nonsense. Is being the wife of the president more important than making money?" Lin Che teased her. Yu Minmin said, "Of course making money is more important. Being the wife of the president is nothing." She couldn't abuse her power because the target was big and she didn't dare to make careless mistakes. Therefore, it was impossible to think that being the president could erase everything and hide the truth. Being a president wasn't as comfortable as being a CEO. For example, Gu Jingze was much more carefree, because he could use his methods openly, but Gu Jingming could only use them behind his back. Go, you still dare to cry poor, the dignified president's wife crying poor, who do you think you believe? Lin Che ignored her. Yu Minmin also put down the phone and couldn't help but shake his head. This Lin Che, really, however, she was still in the presidential palace in Country A. This place was not as luxurious as the Glass Palace. It looked like a presidential palace, but it was not as luxurious. Just as Yu Minmin was about to come down, a servant hurried over to help her up and said, "Madam, be careful." Yu Minmin said embarrassedly, "Sorry to trouble you. Actually, I'm fine. You don't have to be so careful." "No need?" The servants didn't dare. They were all servants of the presidential palace in a country, so they were even more respectful to this distinguished guest than to their own masters. Previously, they had heard that the president's wife of Country C was in danger here, but fortunately, she was rescued. Country A didn't dare to offend the president of Country C, so the president of Country A came to apologize personally, saying that it was their fault for not having as comprehensive security as Country C. Actually, after seeing the capabilities of the president of Country C and his personal guards, they felt that Country A was much more stingy in this aspect. It was no wonder, because Country C was such a big country. After all, it couldn't be compared to Country A. While the servants were still holding her up, Gu Jingming suddenly came. For this handsome president, the servants will be infatuated with him at first sight, but they have some hope that he can stay here for a while. Gu Jingming walked over like a gust of wind, waved his hand to signal for the servants to let go of her, and held her hand directly. "Let's go, I'll take you out for a walk." Yu Minmin was stunned for a moment and looked up at him. Gu Jingming said, "We'll go back tomorrow. You haven't been out of your room for a few days, go out for some fresh air." Yu Minmin quickly nodded. "Of course," Gu Jingming said, "it's a typhoon these days, so it's better for us to go back as soon as possible, in case the plane can't take off." Yu Minmin said, Yeah, actually I'm fine now. It's fine. They asked us to stay for the night to express their apology. Yu Minmin said, you're fine too, right? She looked at his face and stole a glance at his eyes, as if she didn't think that there was anything wrong with him. That day, although no one else could tell, she had noticed that something was wrong with him. It seemed that he was feeling a little unwell. It's fine, he said as he loosened his tie. When he turned around, he noticed that she was staring at him. She was looking at him intently, as if she wanted to see something from his face. He paused for a moment. What are you doing? I'm checking to see if your face is normal. She quickly adjusted her hair to hide the awkwardness from before. She was caught peeking again. Of course, she wouldn't say that it was because she thought that he looked good, so she couldn't help but stare at him for a while longer. However, at this moment, Mr. President, Miss Suya is here personally. In Suya, why did she have to come at this time? Gu Jingming paused for a moment and turned to look at Yu Minmin. He couldn't help but feel a little guilty. Yu Minmin said, why is Miss In here at this time? Hurry up and take a look. She didn't come all the way here because she was worried about you, did she? Gu Jingming took a deep look at her. In Suya had come not because she was worried about him, but because Gu Jingming wasn't used to explaining, so he only said to her, let the servants show you around. Then, he strode out. Yu Minmin watched him leave. The servants behind started chattering and exclaiming in Gu Jingming's direction. She thought, yes, he's a powerful man. He's so powerful that he attracts too much attention. It's impossible to control him. Being with him is destined to be mentally exhausted. In Suya was summoned by Gu Jingming. Seeing Gu Jingming, In Suya quickly said, I heard that something happened to you. Gu Jingming said, it's a small matter, but this thing. Gu Jingming put the thing that she had given him on the table. In Suya quickly asked, what's wrong with this? Gu Jingming said, after I smelled the perfume on it, I felt a little sleepy, so I asked someone to check it. There's something fishy about it. Gu Jingming told her what had happened. In Suya looked at him in surprise. He just looked at In Suya without saying a word. In Suya grabbed his arm. Jingming, you don't think that I did it, do you? Gu Jingming just looked at her without saying a word. Seeing this, In Suya smiled coldly. She let go of him and took a few steps back. Jingming, how could I sell you to someone else, especially Amy? I'm already heartbroken to give you to Yu Minmin. I asked Amy to bring this thing to you because she wanted to come here to work. But I don't know what she did to this thing on the way. Digression, if some students can't see the author's words, I'll write them here. Group number, 181465632. VIP fan group. Entry requires a screenshot. 524189129, ordinary fan group. Entry requires verification, verify the name of any character in this article. Chapter 653. Gu Jingming narrowed his eyes and looked at In Suya. In Suya looked at him. Do you really doubt me? Do you really doubt me? Gu Jingming's eyes darkened, but he couldn't hide his eagle-like gaze. In Suya had never seen him show it many times. He would only look at her like this when he was facing his political enemies. But now, he was looking at her like this. In Suya felt that he had changed. He had started to doubt her. After a while, Gu Jingming looked away and looked at In Suya. I'm sorry, Suya. I have to doubt everyone. You're just a possibility. I don't want to doubt you, so I asked you to come. In Suya looked at him. You've changed, Jingming. Gu Jingming turned to look at her. What? In Suya said, you weren't like this in the past? Gu Jingming frowned. You have to know that the situation now is not the same as before. I'm not talking about you as the president. I'm talking about the Gu Jingming I know. Jingming, if I hadn't left back then, I would have agreed to be with you, Suya. Gu Jingming interrupted her. The past means you can't go back. In Suya took a breath and hid the sadness on her face. She seemed to be cheered up. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it just now. Forget it. I'm still your friend, right? Jingming. Gu Jingming nodded. Of course. Then it's settled, she said. Gu Jingming also smiled. Gu Jingming felt that he had changed. He had become overly suspicious. Why did he start to doubt In Suya? However, he knew clearly that Suya had changed too. Because she was lying today. This was the perfume she usually used. She was the one who made the stuff on it. Otherwise, if it were Amy, she wouldn't have deliberately used her perfume to cover the smell of the aphrodisiac. Even if she didn't make it herself, she must have instructed her. Otherwise, Amy wouldn't have known that it was Suya's perfume. Suya had always mixed the perfume herself. Every year, she would make a big bottle of it. He thought to himself, Suya knows how to lie now. So it wasn't him who had changed. Yu Minmin was still packing with the servants. He didn't bring many things with him, but Country A had given him a lot of gifts, so he had to count them and bring them back. Gu Jingming walked in, opened the door and saw Yu Minmin. Yu Minmin said, "Oh, you're back. Good timing. Let's see if you need anything. You can see for yourself." He walked in and looked at Yu Minmin. Just as he was about to say something, Linda rushed in from outside. "Sir," Gu Jingming said, "go ahead." Linda said, "I just received news that the typhoon caused a natural disaster on the island of S City in the south. The mudslide flooded a village and it's still raining heavily now. The number of casualties is estimated to be about 200 people." Yu Minmin looked up from behind. As expected, Gu Jingming's face darkened. He waved his hand and said, "Get ready to go home." "Yes, sir. The plane is ready." Previously, it was said that the typhoon would affect takeoff. Unexpectedly, the typhoon really caused a disaster. With so many casualties, it seemed to be a major incident. Gu Jingming definitely had to go back and deal with it. Yu Minmin didn't say much. He clapped his hands and stood up. Gu Jingming said to himself, "Let's land in S City directly." "Oh, okay." The group left Country A. When they were about to depart, the president of Country A personally came to send them off. He apologized to Yu Minmin and expressed his regret for the accident in Country C. The servants watched Gu Jingming leave reluctantly. They were still thinking, "He's also the president. Look at his Mr. President. It's a pity that he's only staying for a few days. I can't bear to see him leave." The plane flew directly to S City. The news was already broadcasting. When the president heard about the accident, he was very worried and rushed to the scene of the accident from Country A, where he was visiting. On the plane, Gu Jingming had been dealing with state affairs. Lin and a few other people from the office of the president were walking back and forth, gathering information and thinking of a solution. Yu Minmin seemed a little redundant at the side. She couldn't say anything about this kind of state affairs and could only watch everyone busy. She felt a little guilty. She felt that she had been the president's wife for nothing and couldn't help with anything. At the same time, when he looked at Gu Jingming, he couldn't help but admire him. Under such circumstances, Gu Jingming was like a strategist, dealing with the chaos in an orderly manner. His demeanor of a king was not lacking at all. Soon, they arrived at S City. When they got off the plane, the mayor came to welcome them personally. It was still raining. Gu Jingming and Yu Minmin went to the hotel first. After putting down their things, Gu Jingming said to Yu Minmin, "The weather outside is bad. Don't run around. I'll be back soon." Yu Minmin said, "Okay, don't worry. Just be careful." Gu Jingming hugged her and lowered his head to look at Yu Minmin's face. He caressed her lips. It was a storm outside. At this moment, it was very suitable for them to be on a warm bed and completely tear her apart. He kissed her lips. It seemed that he felt a little nostalgic. He sucked her lips forcefully into his mouth and tasted all the flavor in her mouth. He only let go of her when he felt that she was completely absorbed into his body. Her lips were numb. His determined face looked even sexier. He touched her. "Wait for me to come back." Then, he opened the door and walked out. Only then did Yu Minmin see that Linda was still there. Her bodyguards were still there. This Gu Jingming, however. Outside, the rain was getting heavier. The island was probably paralyzed. Aside from the location of the landslide, the disaster situation in other areas was also very urgent. Yu Minmin looked at the sky outside and thought about Gu Jingming rushing to the scene. She couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. This uneasiness quickly turned into reality. While Yu Minmin was watching TV, she saw the emergency report from the scene. In the storm, the reporter's face was already twisted. Something happened. Something happened? Mr. President went to the scene personally to handle the situation without fear of danger. Now, the inside is paralyzed. The collapse just now caused the village to completely lose contact. Mr. President? Mr. President also entered the village, and his fate is unknown. The remote control in Yu Minmin's hand fell to the ground. Fate is unknown. Gu Jingming, Qin Wanwan arrived in Hollywood that day. The local media once again spread the news, saying that Qin Wanwan's Hollywood journey had begun. After Qin Wanwan arrived, she directly went to Steven's place. Qin Wanwan called Mai Rue, and Mai Rue told her to find Steven. Mai Rue said, "Thank you for helping me. If Steven doesn't choose you this time, he won't choose anyone else. There are only a few people who want a shocking box office in Country C, good acting skills, and a suitable image. That Lin definitely won't participate. I won't allow her to participate. Don't worry, you won't go wrong by standing on my side." Chapter 654. My Rue said, "Thank you for helping me. Steven won't choose you this time and there won't be anyone else. There are only a few people who want the box office in Country C and have good acting skills and a suitable image. Lin will definitely not act. I won't allow her to act. Don't worry, you won't go wrong if you stand on my side." Qin Wanwan smiled. "Of course, Miss My Rue. I'll definitely stand on your side." Qin Wanwan met Steven. When Steven sized her up, he looked at her with the same dissatisfaction he had when he first met Lin Che. Qin Wanwan tried to curry favor with him but Steven didn't like it. He blocked her and said to her, "Why don't you act first?" Qin Wanwan felt a little awkward. She was going to audition right away. Steven said, "I saw Lin Che's performance on film and I thought it was good but you didn't give me the film so I can only watch you act live. This is the script. Take a look and let me know when you're ready." "Alright, Lin Che and I debuted in the same year. We're both top-notch actors in the country, don't worry," Qin Wanwan said with a smile. Steven doubted it and watched, leaving her to read the script. Qin Wanwan was a little unhappy. Luckily, she was a big shot in the country but she was treated like a newcomer here. However, Steven was such a big shot director. She had been to Hollywood a few times and knew that the people here wouldn't notice the influence of Country C since they didn't watch movies in the country. After a while, Steven came to urge her and she had no choice but to go on stage. It was a love scene. She felt that it was easier to act in love scenes. Actually, the hardest part was the normal conversations. It was easy to look unnatural. Emotional scenes, crying scenes, and tragic scenes were easier to grasp because of the intense expressions. Steven watched Qin Wanwan's performance and nodded without saying a word. He took the script and left, saying that he would go back and discuss it with the others. George walked over and looked at Steven. "How was it?" Steven shook his head. "Not as good as Lin." "Then, if it's possible, I hope Lin can handle it well. But if she can't, it can only be her. Moreover, she was recommended by Mr. Henry. We offended Mr. Henry this time so we won't be stopped if we want to act. We have to give him face." "Alright, I'll ask Lin and see what's going on over there." Lin Che was mercilessly rejected by Henry, so he could only return to the hotel. Everyone sat around trying to think of a solution. But, as they were unfamiliar with Hollywood, it was indeed difficult to think of a solution. After a while, news suddenly came from the country, saying that the president was in danger, and his life was still unknown. Lin Che was startled. "Oh my God, it can't be," then Sister Yu, "Hurry up and give Sister Yu a call. She should have insider information. Is the news still important? If something really happened, would Sister Yu still be in the mood to send you news?" Lin Che didn't say much and hurriedly called Yu Minmin. But, it was powered off. Lin Che panicked even more. Yu Minmin was someone who would never turn off her phone. It was a necessity for her to keep her phone on 24 hours a day. She quickly logged into WeChat and sent a message to Yu Minmin. Naturally, she didn't reply, but she hoped that she would have the chance to see it one day. Everyone looked at Lin Che. Lin Che could only shake his head. Everyone leaned against the wall dejectedly. "Aya, it feels like a national event is so close to us. After all, we know the president's wife. What does it have to do with you? Alright, you should think about what to do here first. I think it might be good news if there's no news for a long time. If there's news, it must have caused a sensation." Lin Che let them think about it first while he went to call Gu Jingze. After a few calls, the call went through. Lin Che asked quickly, "How is it?" "I just saw the news." Chapter 655. Lin Che clenched her fists and pressed her phone until her palms hurt. She thought to herself, "I won't let you off. Gu Jingze, I'll teach you a lesson when we get back." For now, she thought that Gu Jingze was still busy with Gu Jingming's matter and must be in a terrible situation. For Gu Jingming's sake, she decided to let him off for now. She would teach him a lesson when she was done with this matter. Humph. The people around them looked at Lin Che strangely when they saw her expression suddenly turn ferocious. "Sis Che, what happened to you?" Lin Che snapped out of her trance and looked at the people in front of her. They were looking at her strangely. Their eyes were either wide open or shocked. Lin Che had forgotten that they were still around. She quickly hid the anger on her face and laughed dryly. "Oh, it's nothing. It's just that. I'm going out for some fresh air." "Ah, Sis Che, I'll go with you." They were worried that Lin Che would take things too hard outside, so they quickly followed her. If something happened to Lin Che outside, they wouldn't be able to bear the responsibility. Naturally, they didn't dare to let Lin Che do anything to them. Very soon, they arrived outside. The lobby of the hotel was filled with soothing music. Lin Che took a deep breath. She was wearing a camel-colored windbreaker with a white chiffon underneath. She looked very casual, with her hands in her pockets. Just by standing there, there would be people turning their heads to look at her. Because of her extraordinary temperament, even if the aesthetic was different, she would still attract a lot of attention. Lin Che. At this moment, a voice that Lin Che really didn't want to hear appeared behind her. Qin Wanwan was actually staying in this hotel too. She just came back from outside. She was wearing high heels and wide-legged pants. She looked very fashionable. A large group of staff followed behind her. She must have just gone out to take some photos and send them back to China. Qin Wanwan looked at Lin Che. Long time no see. I didn't expect to see you here. It seems like the production team booked the same hotel for us. Lin Che looked at Qin Wanwan. Oh, I heard you came for the audition. I'm really sorry for making you come all the way here. After all, we've known each other for so long. If you can't get the role, I'll help you out. Isn't that what I should do? Speaking of which, you're really unlucky. Why don't you go to the Buddhist temple to pray and get rid of your bad luck? How did you offend Mr. Henry so soon after you came to Hollywood? Lin Che wanted to say that it was all thanks to her, but when he looked at her, he still smiled sweetly and said, "Thank you for your reminder. Speaking of which, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to hold on to this role. When the time comes, even if you apply for the role, people will say that you stole my role, or that I gave up the role and gave it to you, so you became my substitute. I'm really sorry, how could you be my substitute?" Qin Wanwan's face turned ashen. But Lin Che had already snorted and continued to walk out. The people around her also turned to look at Qin Wanwan. The two parties seemed to be at daggers drawn, and neither was willing to give in to the other. At this time, Qin Wanwan suddenly said, "Oh yes, I heard that Mr. Henry likes red wine very much. You've met him once. You should have talked about it, right?" Lin Che turned around. Qin Wanwan looked at her with an obvious smugness in her smile. "Don't mind me. I just prepared some red wine for Mr. Henry, but I'm not sure if it's the right thing to do, so I wanted to ask for his opinion. Miss Mary invited me to Mr. Henry's house tomorrow. After all, he's Mr. Henry, so I think I should visit him with a respectful attitude. A gift is a must. After all, not everyone has the opportunity to be a guest at Mr. Henry's house. It's such a rare opportunity, so I can't make a mistake." Wasn't this directly admitting that she was the one who did it? Very good. Lin Che looked at Qin Wanwan's almost straightforward provocation and mocking gaze, which made her even more amused. She shook her head and said, "I wish you all the best in your career." "Thank you. Don't worry, I will." Qin Wanwan looked at Lin Che and the others as they walked out and snorted. Sister Lin, who had deliberately followed her, said, "Look at her pathetic state. She's still putting on an act in front of outsiders. Anyway, she's the one who's going to suffer now. We should understand her. After all, this role was originally hers, but now it's someone else's. It's mine. She must be very upset," she said. There was no sympathy in her eyes, only mockery. Sister Lin laughed when she heard that. "All right, you're right." Tomorrow, Mary had deliberately brought her to Henry's house. It was obvious that she was treating her very well. If outsiders heard this, they would definitely be envious. Although Lin Che was angry, she didn't say anything. There was no point in arguing now. She had stolen the role, so Lin Che couldn't just go up and fight with her. The next day, Qin Wanwan specially dressed up to be a guest at Henry's house. Here, being able to be a guest at someone's house was already a great honor. Sister Lin said from the side, "This is a very impressive manor. The people who live here are all big Hollywood stars or tycoons. It's relatively close to Hollywood and the scenery is also very good. Look, it's all villas as far as the eye can see." Qin Wanwan was in a good mood. After entering, the wounds on Mary's face were still very obvious. There was still something wrapped around it. It looked like she had been beaten up really badly. This Lin Che, Qin Wanwan thought that she was the one who caused trouble. Who told her to be so daring to hit her so hard? She thought that it was already good enough that they would fight. Who knew that Lin Che would be so merciless when he hit her? Mary said to her, "Don't worry. Henry has already let the people from the Actors Union remind them. They also know the consequences of going against Henry. You probably don't know Henry, but he's definitely a very important person in Hollywood." Of course, Qin Wanwan was very polite and complimented Mary. She only hoped that she could see Henry more often. Just then, a Filipino maid came and said something to Mary. Mary said, "That's great. You're very lucky that someone came to see you." Qin Wanwan pointed at herself. "See me?" Mary said, "Yeah. I heard that you're from Country C, so I wanted to come and see you." "Really? Who is it then?" Mary said, "You won't regret meeting someone. She's the daughter of the Wei Corporation." Wei Corporation? That's right. After they went public this year, they have 50 billion in assets. Their family is an old industrial family that has always been in the oil processing business. Chapter 656. If they had anything to do with oil, they wouldn't be easy to deal with. Qin Wanwan listened to the translator and quickly searched for them on her phone. Then, she realized that this family was one of the richest in the world. The Wei family owned 85% of Wei Corporation's shares. This year, the two leaders of the Wei family were both in the top 10 of the Forbes rich list. One was in front of the other, and they were extremely powerful. Why would someone like this want to see me? Qin Wanwan quickly went out. She perked up and was extremely excited. When she went out, she saw a teenage girl dressed in gaudy clothes. She looked like she was mixed race and seemed to be of Country C descent. Huh, no way. You're the celebrity from Country C? She spoke very bluntly. Although Qin Wanwan thought it was strange, she didn't dare to offend her. She quickly said, "You can speak Country C? That's great. I'm really surprised that you can speak with a local accent here." The young girl walked over and sized her up rudely. She looked at her as if she was looking at goods, and it made Qin Wanwan feel a little uncomfortable. She cursed in her heart, but she had to pretend to be friendly on the surface. She had to keep telling herself that it was all right. She was a missy, and she was the missy of such a big family. It was normal for her to have a temper. However, the next moment, the young girl switched to English. She ignored Qin Wanwan and said to Mai Rui, "From your description, I thought it was someone I know, but it's not. Forget it, I'm not interested. I'm leaving." Mai Rui quickly went up to her. "Hey, don't be like this. Since you're here, sit for a while. I'll get you a game console." "It's okay. My dad wants to take me to the beach. He wants to surf, so I have to follow him. You know, his fatherly love has exploded recently and he feels like he's mistreating me." Mai Rui could only say, "Forget it then. Since your dad called you, I'm sorry, but she's not the person you want to see." "It's okay, but I don't think she's good. Is she going to act in blood? She doesn't look suitable at all." About that, Mai Rui didn't know what to say, so the young girl waved her hand and left. Qin Wanwan was bewildered. Mary waited until she was completely gone before saying, "She's very headstrong. She even ran away from home for more than 3 years and just came back not long ago. She's actually the illegitimate son of her father who had an affair outside. She just came back to the family, so she's a little weird. But she's rich, so you know, I have to give in to her." Qin Wanwan said, "Oh, then why did she come to see me?" "Nothing, I'm probably just curious about Country C," Mai Rui didn't say. She only came because she thought Qin Wanwan was someone she might know. However, the translator already told Qin Wanwan, which made Qin Wanwan feel it was a pity. She did not have the ability to know such a rich young lady. It seemed that she had really recognized the wrong person. As for Lin Che, she heard that Henry was going to play on the yacht by the sea today. There would be a gathering on the yacht parked by the sea. It might be a small private gathering, but Lin Che still decided to give it a try. After all, they could only communicate with Mr. Henry in person. At the seaside, the UV rays were strong. She brought her staff to the location of the yacht that Stephen had mentioned. Just as they were about to go there, they were blocked. "You can't go there. I'm here to see Mr. Henry." "Mr. Henry? No, this is a private gathering. You can't go in." Lin Che stood there and looked inside. He thought that if he went in, he would have to come out eventually. Otherwise, he could only wait for him to come out. However, at this moment, "Hey!" A cheerful girl's voice startled Lin Che. She turned around and saw a girl with an afro running towards her. "Hey, it's really you. That's great," she said in Country C. She had already jumped over quickly. Lin Che was stunned at first. Then, when he saw her, he suddenly remembered who she was. "Ah, it's you, human trafficker. No way, you came here from France to kidnap people?" Of course, Lin Che remembered this non-mainstream girl. When she was in France, she was sold by this girl and even counted the money for her. When they went back, Gu Jingze scolded her very much. Now she actually appeared here. No way. She was still non-mainstream, but she didn't look as down and out as before. Looking at Lin Che, she directly threw herself at him and gave him a big hug. "I'm not here to kidnap people today. I changed my profession a long time ago, okay?" She got down from Lin Che and said to him. Lin Che said, "Really? Then why are you here?" "My home is here. I'm here. I'm on vacation here. My dad brought me here to have fun," she said. "That's great. You've finished running away from home?" Lin Che said. She scratched her afro. "Yes, I'm tired of France. I think I'll just come back. She didn't say that she accepted Lin Che's sponsorship. For a moment, she felt as if she had received a warm baptism. She suddenly thought things through and was ready to come back and face her own problems. Fortunately, after she came back, her father no longer forced her to marry him. Her life was much better. I've been looking for you for a long time. A few days ago, I saw a publicity photo. After seeing it, I thought it was you, so I rushed to find you. I didn't expect it to be you. I was very disappointed today, but I didn't expect to meet you here. Lin Che was also very surprised. She said, "The sun is too strong. Let's go. I'll take you to eat." But she wanted to say, but she was looking for Mr. Henry. But looking inside, it was obvious that she wouldn't see Mr. Henry today. She thought about it and decided to go eat first. So she left with the young lady. In China's city, the torrential downpour continued. The sky outside was already red. The day looked like night. It looked very scary. Gu Jingze suddenly arrived. Yu Minmin ran out like a madman. "Mr. Gu, you're finally here. How is it, Mr. President?" "Don't worry." Gu Jingze stood there. "Big brother will be fine. I'll go to the scene immediately. I'm looking for a boat to go there now." But the island collapsed. The wind and waves are too strong. It's not easy for ordinary boats to enter. We've already dispatched the best boat from the navy nearby. They're ready to go there immediately. Yu Minmin was even more frightened when she heard this. That was an island, in the middle of the sea. Wasn't that even more dangerous? "I'll go." "I want to go too," Yu Minmin said directly. "No." Gu Jingze stopped her coldly. "It's very dangerous. The life and death of the country's president are already unknown. I can't let the president's wife be in danger." You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.